Hello, everyone. This is Ian from the fourth place. Welcome to the fourth episode of Heroes of Four Worlds, a very auspicious number. That's not the title, that's just a thing I keep saying. So, if you're new, the show is an actual play D&D campaign show, which just means we're going to be using Dungeons and Dragons to tell a story for you live on TV on the internet. I have only one announcement for this episode, which is that this is the one I always do, which is that we do giveaways. So here's how this works. Every time someone on this game rolls a natural one, someone in the chat on Twitch will have a chance to win a free set of stickers from the fourth place sticker club. Typically, I will send you the Heroes of Four World stickers because they're cool and about the show. Whenever we reach 25 viewers, the first prize that we give out is upgraded to a free t-shirt. So there are some terms. Only people who are 18 and up, who comment in the Twitch chat with the right code word, who follow us on Twitch, who are in the United States, and all the usual stuff. When it's time for a giveaway, I will tell you a code word and then say go, and when the first person to type it wins. I might not check that until later, so you'll hear from me right at the end of the show, typically, because I am our... That's the easy part. To catch everyone up briefly, in episode 1, let's see, Lamia traded her paladin powers for a pact with a mysterious fey creature summoning Dimma. She tried to run away from home, but her twin brother, Nico, came along. Dimma tried to transport them all to the world, but he rolled a 7, so that, instead of taking them to the world where Tanya is, it pulled Tanya from the world and took them all to the realm of dreams where they met Miraja, the last survivor of the dream folk. That's long because it's also introducing all the characters. In episode 2, they dealt with the fog that was the dream world disintegrating. Were unexpectedly joined by this strange, confused wizard, Lost Tom, who rushed them away to the halls of prophecy, asking them to save the future of the world. In episode 3, the party finished up saving some prophecies from the hall before realizing that maybe that's not a great thing, and then made it back to the teleportation stones. And when we join them, we'll be joining them as they decide where in the world, literally, to go. I should mention here, our characters all have started the process of leveling up to level 3, and they'll officially get there at their next long rest, which I bet will be this episode, because a lot of them are pretty rough. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce the cast so I can stop talking. As I introduce each person, they're going to introduce themselves and their characters a little with their name and pronouns, their characters' names and pronouns, and what's up with their character lately, like where are they thinking about going, perhaps. The first character and player to be introduced is Cage.
Hey all, I'm Cage. I use she, hers pronouns, and I'll be playing Tanya, the Turtle Barbarian, who also uses she, hers pronouns. And Tanya just wants to go home. And by home, just the world, specifically anywhere within the Heartsea would be great.
I like it. Next is Tucker.
Hi there, I'm Tucker. I use she, he, or they pronouns. I play Nicodemus, who uses he pronouns. He is still trying to figure out what the hell is going on as he is trying to help his twin sister.
Cool. Next up, we have Jamila.
Hi, I'm Jamila, and I play Maraja, and we both use she, her. And Maraja is a dream girl, but she's coming to the real world. So what's gonna happen? We'll see.
Like it. Next up is Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric. I use he, him. I'm playing Dimma, who uses he or they. And Dimma is enjoyed this time over on the other side of the sky from the moon, but is also eager to get to the physical world.
And last, closing us out, is Clove.
Hey y'all, I'm Clove, she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Lamia, also she, her pronouns. Oh god, what is Lamia thinking about? Well, we just got all these prophecies, and some of them are really bad, so wouldn't it be great if we could destroy them, or maybe find another way of destroying them? I don't know where we're going.
All right. So with that in mind, I will screw up my screen for a second. So where we left the players, they had gotten back to a library in the Realm of Dreams. They were around a set of crystals which seemed to be tuned to teleportation magic. They had all kind of started doing their thing. Let's see. So I remember. I think Miraja had tried to sort of assert her realness in this place around them. Tanya had made a sort of a try to ground us in some knowledge of the world. Lamia had used distort value to like try to make the crystal look more real, because in a dream, if it looks real, hopefully it is more real and it won't break. And Nico had been remembering Dad's garden while Dimma was sort of organizing the magic. And once that happened, you each got sort of the vision of a map of the world, which is up for you guys and is also up for the viewers. See some of the places you find. And Lost Tom said something to the effect of, "So where are y'all gonna go?" And I will leave you with that question. Where y'all gonna go?
Tanya just looks around and is like, home.
All right, where on this is home?
Well, as Tanya says home, for a second, the map, imagine sort of just a huge area map, vaguely spherical, but you're only seeing part of it, like shifts in and zooms in a little bit so that you're seeing kind of the coast around the Heart Sea, especially sort of the Freelands, Heartlands, and Small Kingdoms. Almost in response to her saying home.
Do I even have any vague memories of this general area? I'm like, I think this is the world.
Yeah, this is a weird thing that happens this is a great question. When you come down from the moon, first you're on the moon and then magic happens and then you're like traveling through the sky and then you land. And so there is a moment when you're in sort of between abstract and real world where you see the world coming at you and you sort of have seen this view before. And so you would know that where you usually visited was an area on the eastern side of the Inner Sea, which is the little sort of harbor or large harbor area or bay area just south of the Heart Sea between Westwise and Hearth.
Okay. At least I know we're on the world.
Oh, you're above the world. You're seeing a vision of it now. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So you guys are just like you're in like it's like a panopticon has opened in front of you, and a vision of the world is trying to figure out where you're trying to go.
Okay, I see that landmark and that landmark. Tanya, can you help me out here?
Sounds great. Yes, let's go.
So as Nico sort of concentrates on the map, you see an area that's mostly around the Inner Sea, and apparently just to the east of it seems to be the space that's sort of coming out of his memory.
The area that...
And so it's like the world, it's like the view that you're all seeing is getting kind of closer and more specific as everyone adds there.
Tanya's question just kind of brought it to a more west of the Inner Sea, is that right? Or
Tanya's question kept it pretty broad, which was sort of the south of the Heart Sea in general. And then Nico's was like towards the eastern side of the Inner Sea. So you're seeing the area around Westwise.
Tanya will probably also add, your father still lives there. We could go there.
We do not need to go there.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, Nico had a face of, hey, that's not the worst Oh, okay.
Do you all remember where any libraries are? Because we need to find information on we need to find information.
I bet I might know where some libraries were a long time ago. Can I roll for that?
Any of you are welcome to make a history check. I don't think any of you are like a scribe or library related background where I would give you even more. So let's start with those.
Wait, but I have 4 history.
That's right. You have an interesting kind of lore. What's your background again? If you have.
Like I kind of just like prowl of this library and just like read stuff.
Yep. Also, notice we've got some pretty good rolls here.
Okay, so let's see what people rolled. So take those history rolls, and I'll see if anything changed. Those are mostly initiative rolls. So the history, I got Dimma with a dirty 20, and Lamia with a 19.
A clean 19, thank you.
Clean. It's clean. It's a great way to point out that you have no bonus on that skill. Okay, so let's start with Dimma. The oldest library that you're aware of that you could imagine still being standing is the Byblos Citadel, sort of a library.
Okay. Yep.
Super
remote though. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Your idea of big cities, let's see, would be that Ixalan is a big city, and I'm trying to think what else would be sort of in your memory. See, that's probably it. But in terms of places of learning, maybe Colophon, for some reason, comes to mind. Let's see. And the various temples. You know, there are temples that could have knowledge. Although, you know, getting involved with gods can be a risk.
Would Tanya have any particular insights since she's been most recently on the world?
Yep. So the next roll I'm gonna do Lamia, who had the next roll. So with that dirty 19, people talked about there being, you know, enough people for there to be some scholarship in Ixalan, Arth. There's a small town called Colophon that you've heard of, which is sort of on the coast and is sort of, you know, disproportionately intellectual. You've heard that there may be a library down in one of the cities in the Dune Sea, but no one ever really said with that roll, I think, where. And with a 19, you definitely would have heard of the Byblos Citadel, sort of a place of hoarding secrets. So your instinct would be that there would be knowledge in cities, but whether it's knowledge of prophecies, that might be more of a god thing, or which.
Tanya's, right?
And then Tanya's role, having been from the world, the biggest city is definitely Hearth. The other civilized places are Ixalan, Artea, On. Books are usually a city thing or a temple thing.
Tanya will definitely suggest Hearth then, because it's also near the area that she's most familiar with, and that she's traveled more frequently, and it is like one of the larger cities that she's been to. So in her brain, the larger the city, the more chances there are to come across something that you want to know.
Yep. All right, and at that point, since someone is specifically doing that, and as you're all doing this, you're seeing the kind of virtual camera kind of swing towards these different places.
Ian,
Yes.
You said the place of learning, the library. Which one is that again?
The Byblos Citadel. It's on. If you look sort of south of the Black Isle on the eastern side of the map.
Okay.
Yeah, we do not want to go there.
It is a
The other
place that
one
is
he keeps
spoken of in sort of
mentioning-
hushed tones and warnings, because it's definitely where most of the knowledge is, but it's there because it's being sort of hoarded and ended.
Let's go when we
The
can
other place
fly.
he keeps mentioning is Colophon, which is just north of the Freelands, between the Freelands and the Heart Sea.
It looks like there's a road
that
from it to
peninsula.
Port Haven to Hearth,
Yes.
which is kind of nice. Means either one of that we could start at Hearth, and then when we're ready, go over to Colophon, or we could start at Colophon, and then when we've learned what we can, go to Hearth.
Let's see.
All of those would be areas that Tanya is more or less familiar with, because she tends to travel the coasts of the Heart Sea.
Do we like?
Morely by water, though, so she probably won't know the path as well. She usually takes...
Good point. I mean,
Yeah, she usually
Water's
ferries
good
her
for travel,
way between
too.
ports.
So
And
let's see.
which one looks like the weirdly intellectual town?
Colophon. If you it's on the little peninsula that sort of snakes.
I'm going to
up from
gun for
Hearth.
Colophon, in which case.
Colophon is a place of a
Pushing
lot
for
of
that.
thinking. Those of you who know about it would know that it hasn't been that for super long. So it hasn't necessarily amassed a huge library, but it's where smart people are. You know, university. Oh, actually, yeah. There's also a university. Let's see, with I think Dimma and Lamia with those roles would know that there's a university, a town called Highbridge in the Small Kingdom.
Okay.
But
At
those
the
are-
mention of Colophon, though, I think Tanya would be like,
You've been there.
there's
sure.
zero intelligence. She'll probably be like, there are smart people there, But Hearth is much bigger, so there's probably more smart people there.
I mean,
And imagine kind of this map, like it's sort of zoomed in, but it's sort of
Oh, I get,
swinging
like,
with these
a
conversations and
sickness. Motion sickness from watching it spin around.
a little bit, and it does because it's a little too real. It's not just like an image.
spinning.
It's
yeah. All right, which do we like the idea of more? Going to a smaller place with fewer people, like as our first, for some of us, our first setting foot in the world, or just jump straight in the deep end, knowing it'll be easy to get to Colophon when we want to.
well. The boy also mentioned Westwise, sort of a friendlier place, not as.
We're not going to Westwise.
Aw.
What's going on with that?
We have bigger problems like the library crumbling behind us. I'm voting for Colophon. Let's just start somewhere small and get our feet wet.
Colophon's a good place to get your feet wet.
Oh,
Well, Tanya was just about to make a coastline joke as well.
I was hoping turtle joke.
do we do long rests happen if like we have to be at a specific place to be able to rest, or
Yeah, a long rest in game means that your characters have taken 6 hours of doing nothing but resting, typically sleeping.
Right, like you literally went to sleep,
Yeah.
assuming you sleep.
Yeah, so you would have to
like, need a bed or something.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a bed. There, you can camp, you can get comfortable somewhere else, but it takes the time. You have to be comfortable that you can be safe for 6+ hours somewhere.
Okay, that makes
which
sense.
does not feel like this library that you're in.
Yeah.
Which is not like actively falling like out from underneath you, but is definitely feeling more and more precarious.
Wait, I thought we already like teleported out of there.
No, you're still around the stone, and you're seeing the world. Not yet in.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
Basically, like looking into a looking glass at the world, trying to figure out where we want to be zapped to.
And it's reacting more to what you're thinking than what you're saying, so it's been shifting a lot. It's sort of gelled into the area, sort of from Colophon, Hearth, Westwise, since people sort of shied away from Byblos, it's narrowed in. But it's still kind of swinging, kind of wobbling, like people's minds aren't made up.
Can I like do like an insight check into like my question is if I'm made of something different than the world is made of, like how are these two realities like going to
Arcana, right?
or can I do that?
I think that's an Arcana check. Well, you can do
Okay.
you can do two things. You can use insight to mean your intuition, sort of your ability to sort of to know, or history to see if you've studied it, or Arcana to see if you just sort of know how it works.
Okay.
And the answers and the difficulties may differ between choices.
Right. Okay. So like my insight is higher than history and Arcana. Why don't I try like an Arcana check?
Okay, do that.
Ian, what are the mountains called there in the Heartlands, between the Heartlands and Freelands?
I think they don't have the range doesn't have one name
Okay.
that's shared by everybody, so it's not labeled. So people in the Heartlands probably have one name for it. People in the Freelands have a different name. So it's often just called the mountains.
Okay.
Trying to not debate it.
I got a 19.
19 in Arcana check. That's pretty solid. So with the 19 in an Arcana check, when people come here, they tend to come here. When they came here by dreaming, they tended to become more like this place, because the reality of this place sort of they fit into it. These people, when they teleported, they came here as solid things because they teleported. So either of those options is possible. With Arcana 19, there may be a bit of you would know that there may be a bit of a struggle or a period of gelling down before one or the other thing happens to you.
So like, would it be fair to say that you kind of have to like reinforce reality? Because in this world, you have to like think things hard enough to
Yeah,
make it real.
the world works a little differently than that, so it will start to impose itself even if nobody believes it, but you'll be in a state of transition when you that's
Okay.
what you know from that, your Arcana.
Okay.
There may be more. A good roll, but it's also a tough skill.
Okay.
So
So-
I think Tanya will be recognizing that the map in front of her is moving based on what people are thinking,
Mhm.
and she has very little understanding of like magic and things or like how things are working, but she's traveled a lot around like the coast, but she's never been like up into the mountain. And just to see, she's gonna try and think of the mountain and see if she can
Oh, yep.
like learn, like I don't know if like learn about it in the right way, but like she's never been there before, and she's fascinated by this potential opportunity to like learn about a place she's never been to by using magic. And so like she's gonna attempt to concentrate on a place that she hasn't really been to but has seen, because it's such a large like structure on the world.
I love she figured out that this is just Google Earth.
Yeah. So what happens is it starts to zoom in and become more like, and you, if no one else has a strong thought about this before it starts to happen, and raise your hand if anyone gets distracted by this or to sort of play with that. But it's not just a map of the world; it's the world that you start to see. Right? The closer you get, the more it's clear that it's real details. It's got trees and it's got like landslides and stuff that people don't draw on maps. And you probably see like you would see a few what must be giants. Like not your sense of scale is all thrown off by this, but like you get close enough in this view of these mountains that you see like tiny little people. But yeah.
Like, can you like touch it? Like, is that or would that?
Clove's hand was up first, so I'm gonna jump to Clove. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I think I start seeing people I'm like, oh fuck.
it's real. Yeah.
And because I don't remember if giants are friendly or not friendly. I'm just gonna think about Colophon.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
as hard as possible and be like, guys, think about Colophon. We need a safe place to land.
Yep. So the
Tanya will
map
probably
goes,
just go from like whoa to
yeah,
be
there's,
like, oh,
there's definitely
right,
like,
right,
and I want
sorry.
to. It'll take longer to describe than you see it, but you see like big giants wearing like like pretty simple like hide clothes, carrying like giant trees on their shoulders, like two of them together, like going across a ridge, and then it's like whoa, and you're suddenly scanning across the ridge and over a different peak and a weird angle, and then you're looking down on this little seaside town, and there's lots of sort of white stone or painted, you can't really tell because they're still kind of specks, buildings. You could see sort of the sun glistening off the sea. You can see palm trees and
Are there
sort of
sounds?
subtropical stuff. Say again?
Are there sounds?
You don't hear anything.
Oh, I was kind of excited at the thought of like hearing people sing or.
Unfortunately, no. And at this point, this device or whatever it is that's showing you the world appears to be silent.
Tanya will like kind of look up at Dima and Tom and just kind of be like, I think this is a good place. We could go here.
This seems nice.
I'm going to focus on the earth and on like us standing down there.
Okay. I need to do a thing where, and I don't want this to color everybody, so I want you to hold in your mind where you most want to go, and don't let it be colored by, it's hard, maybe write it down or something. Commit to it. Because then I'm going to go through everybody and see where it's where your character most wants to go. Not necessarily where your character is deciding to. First, let's go
Wait,
with...
can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So can you like repeat what you said earlier? Because, like you talked about like a place of learning being like, is there
I
like a
can
really
summarize them,
big
yeah.
library?
Yeah, so the places that you've talked about are Colophon, which
Okay.
is a small seaside town with a disproportionate amount of intellectuals. Parth, which is the biggest city in the world as far as any of you know, which is just lots of people, and so therefore probably lots of learning. There's a pretty darn civilized city called Ixalan. There's a huge fortress/library called the Byblos Citadel, which is where knowledge is hoarded.
So could that be like a royal academy or something? Like
Well,
I
it's-
don't.
No, the things you know about it, Nick, you're pretty well studied. Make a quick history check.
Yeah. Okay.
I can tell you what you...
For
I
what
bet
it's worth, this is the one that multiple people mentioned this name and then looked at it and said, that's way too remote, not there.
Oh right. Okay.
But like, not to color your
That may not-
opinion,
that may
but
not
that did
be, yeah.
happen.
So there's a real solid history. Yeah. So the Byblos scholars are like somewhere between a secret society of librarians and spies. And
Nice for what?
Librarians and spies.
Libraries.
Yeah, and they hunt knowledge all over the world, and if possible, they bring it back to their citadel, and if possible, they destroy the other copies and hoard it in the citadel. And they're
Okay.
very militant about their having knowledge, about the knowledge being collected. It's somewhat of a problematic stance in some ways. It's also it's like you grew up in a library. Like when people talked about like good libraries and bad libraries, this was like the the bad library. This was like how you don't do it. Like not like necessarily something they spoke of with fear, but definitely like when one of the librarians or one of the other mothers would be really overly harsh about the library rules, they would be compared with this place.
I see. Okay, but like also are there like dreamers or something, like people, like I know that people stopped appearing in my world, but are there people who like maybe have a special connection to it that I would know of or something like that? Or people
No, I don't think you have. Yeah, I think you were relatively young when people stopped showing up. I think we just you were, well, it's been a while. So
Yeah.
So many different people showed up that it was hard to form relationships with them until like nobody was showing up. So I'm not sure that you have a great sense of that. And if you do, you might struggle to know where they were from.
But like I wouldn't know, like if there's like some dreamer cult people or something like that, like would I know, might I know about that? Like I don't know, it was just an idea.
Oh, I see. Yeah. People who are particularly good at dreaming, there would be an association with the Moonpeak Isle.
The fuck?
And you would know, actually, you'd probably know that orcs are pretty good at dreaming. Orcs and halflings.
Oh, can you kill people in dreams? Are there like dream assassins?
You've
Sorry.
never heard of that. That's that's information that if you'd ever asked, people would have not wanted to give you the answer.
I just gave you a really cool idea. No.
All right. So, does everyone have a sense of the places that have been discussed enough to know where they want? Yes,
Did we ever determine where it was that Tanya was when she got pulled from the world?
We didn't. It was somewhere along the coast of the Heart Sea.
I'll just make up that it was outside of Port Haven.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
That feels good.
How do
to
I
me.
see like the big world again? Like the whole world?
The map that's on the screen in Roll20, you can click on it and it will expand for you.
You'll find it in the documents if you click on the journal button in the upper right of the chat. Like go to the chat section, journal, map in your world, mouse over it, click on it.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna
I-
start with other folks who I think already know what their character wants. First we will go with Age. Where does Tanya want to go?
Tanya wants to try and get back to where it was that she was picked up off the earth.
Okay.
So outside of Port Haven would be her ideal, but just like at the very beginning, pretty much anywhere on the south side of the Heart Sea, so anywhere between Artea and Ixalan are fine for her on the coastline there, but ideally she would love to be reunited with her stuff outside of Port Haven.
Okay. Next is Nico. Where does Nico want to go?
Oh, he wants to go to Westwise.
Hey. That's what I thought. I will skip Miraja to give her some more time. Eric, where does Dimma want to go?
It's Colophon. I have a short attention span, and I'm seeing a pretty place on the world right now, and that looks good to me.
All right. And Clove, where does Lamia want to go?
I've got it written on my hand here.
It says Hmushmuf.
No, it's cursive. Y'all won't be able to read it through the camera, but she like what she's telling people is I want to go to like a library or a university somewhere in Colophon. Where she really wants to go is like a deserted beach in Colophon, like somewhere where there's just like no people, nothing. She wants to rest. She wants to hear the sound of the wave. She is so done.
I love it. All right.
I know what I want.
What does Miraja want?
Okay. So I can I like be able to tell like what people are thinking, like based on like the shifting of things? Like can I
Oh,
gather
yeah. So,
can my
let's see.
character.
So you're like hesitant. You're not. You don't know what you want necessarily.
Yeah, I also don't know if I want to leave.
Yep. So
Like,
you may have. So you're. Yep. So what you would see is. Let me see. Let me see.
Interestingly, the locations we've said kind of make a line.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, and hearing that from you guys is helpful. And so the reason why I ask is just because I feel like Maraja would feel like what's the most like given what these people want, like what is the most like practical like
Oh.
way, you know what I'm saying? Because I still want to be like part of this group, especially now that we have all these
So
like mixed
so
properties.
practical meaning. So if practical meaning, what does this group want, or
Yeah,
practical
well,
like in terms of her
combination of-
idea of what? What
like
does she
I
think?
know what I like abstractly, like if none of these people are involved, like
Yep.
and I had to leave, I would want to go to like the best place to gain information about things that are happening, which like might be colophon or something like that, but like that could be a good start. But given that if I can derive that like Tanya wants to go to this place Artea, and then I want
Yeah.
colophon, and then there's Westwise, like this could be a good like middle ground or like compromise for all of us to like start on the left and go to the right. Like I'm
Okay.
open to that because like I feel like being cohesive as a group, given like what we just experienced, is like important.
Okay, so let me tell you what you see. So what you see now is that the area that you can see clearly is very much bounded by colophon and westwise, and it strings along the coast, and things are getting like that. That's the area you're zoomed in on, but also things that are further from the coast or further than that are very much blurry. And the places that, and you could sort of get a sense of like the perspective occasionally like sliding and drifting. It's mostly around Colophon,
Okay.
Colophon to Port Haven, but it occasionally like a child being distracted, kind of like will dart somewhere else, like as if there's still possibilities of other interest.
Okay.
And now, what I'd like at this point, I guess the question, Dimma, do you are you stopping this thing from activating? You've been doing this for a while, so if you feel it's like, oh, I'm ready to go, it's gonna go, it's got enough information, it's.
Oh yeah, right. I was definitely holding to try to make sure that this would keep going while we chatted.
Yeah.
But
as of now,
if it feels like it could go, no, I don't think I would.
Yeah, it's like it's warmed up enough. It's got enough something that it's like trying. It's like you could feel the tug.
Yeah.
Do you stop it or
no, I would not. I would not resist that. I would like. Overall, we're trying to get out of here. I'm not trying to take extra risks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, everybody, please make a charisma check.
Okay.
Not a charisma saving throw. So the easiest way to do that is to click on the modifier for your charisma score, which is at the top of your character sheet.
That was weird.
Ooh.
Great, use it on a thing where I can't get a crit.
Not a 22.
Mine just rolled on D&D Beyond instead of.
Yeah. That means you accidentally have D&D Beyond's dice turned on.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got that
terrible.
too, but I got a 22 heads up.
Okay, so you're so Lami is a 22.
Oh, I cleared my. I'm just gonna do a normal roll here.
I critted.
Yeah, Tanya critted, which is gonna be.
I'll work on disabling this.
All right, so. Trying to make this a little bit. Yep.
Okay, I just hope that our average does not end up square in the middle of the inner sea. That would be inconvenient.
I mean, Tanya will probably know how to flag down a ship, so it's fine.
Everyone get on my
This could
back.
be like in Pokemon when they ride Lapras.
I'm not that big.
Rude.
Wait, Tucker, what'd you say?
Oh, I'm not that big, is what she said.
No, Tucker, I think you're muted or something. I can't hear you.
Oh, are we missing Tucker?
Come back, Tucker.
Sorry,
Okay.
I said, I said, quick, somebody cast the enlarge reduce spell.
Good idea. All right. So.
Oh, I wanted to mention that if there was if I could deduce from like the map that there's kind of like a line or something like that, I would want to go to one end or the other. Like so,
Okay.
that's like
as
west
that's like
west.
happening, you're like, let's. Okay. Here's what's going to
Just
happen.
like Pokemon.
So for what you see right now is an area, like actually here, like on the map on Roll20, and I'm just going to go reveal it on the stream. You are on a beach.
Wait, before that,
Yes.
sorry, is there like a way to like understand how, like, I know that we just said that we're on a beach, but like, is there like a way to like take this map, keep it?
Oh no, it definitely disappears.
An app on my library phone.
Oh yeah, alas, no, that map is not a physical thing. It was a vision. So you at the moment don't have a way to grab it. So
But you're right. We should talk about that because this was an excellent map, which we do want. And so
yes.
we have some spell developing to do now.
Let me just take a quick
Tanya
look.
could probably draw like a rough path.
But like, I just love like the idea of like being able to like use GPS like of people, Google Earth for like humans. It's like so creepy.
Yes,
I'm the shadow broker.
You certainly got very helpful information by seeing a true map of the world. Tanya, with your passive perception, you catch that you are darting in roughly the direction that you wanted. Right, so that coast somewhere between Colophon and Hearth for sure, but it all happens like in like a fraction of a second, so you don't actually kind of you don't see exactly where you landed. And you land on, well, what you actually land on is a tiny little island, or, you know, island is a strong word because it's just in the middle of a stream that's kind of bubbling on both sides of it. You see some palm trees, you see a camp, you see the beach, you see the water, you hear seagulls. There's not much around you except for a little camp, which, despite the image of a burning fire, looks to be abandoned. It's an older.
Okay.
So, judging from looking at the map, it looks like the water's to our south. Would Tanya be able to determine whether she's on a north beach or a south beach?
Make a survival check. I think that's how you
I
do
do
it.
have that.
I didn't say it was a hard survival check. Yeah.
Ooh,
So with
good.
I
that-
hope it's not.
no, it's not. In fact,
Mhm.
with that roll, the sea is to the north of you.
Okay.
Wait, are we still in this like?
Nope, you're on
No,
the world.
we
In
have
fact,
landed.
Oh,
it may
okay.
not even actually. This is great because it may not dawn on Mirage at first.
Oh,
Is this a simulation? Like, I'm used to like being in one place and
Your
then being.
mouth is shaking right now.
Well, yeah. So Miraja, like, she's been in a situation where like the place that she was in changed to look different, but she knew she hadn't really moved because that's what happens in dreams. So
Okay.
does she know? Like, context-wise, she certainly knows that could have been teleportation, but it could have just been that now they're being shown a place. So that's up to you in terms of what she might infer. But I will tell the rest of you, you are on the world. You are standing on dirt on a little sort of, slightly muddy, slightly sandy, slightly grassy patch of land with some stream flowing around it out towards a beach that's kind of a high tide kind of water is filling in places of the beach.
I'm going towards the camp, like without like blinking an eye or batting an eye at the situation. I'm just walking straight towards that camp,
Okay.
like through the
Yep.
river.
And we're not in turns or anything. Yep. So there's about a 4-foot stream that's really shallow to get across, so that's easy. That is
4 feet wide, not 4
yeah,
feet deep.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
like, that's
it's trivial for you to hop across it with you. Yeah, it's like,
After Tanya just kind of gets a look around and she recognizes that she is where she thinks she is, she just drops to the ground and hugs the
yeah,
earth.
it's the world. That's I love that. Just on this little island, just turtle just belly flop.
You just see this shell on the ground.
Are your
and this
claws
little
digging into the
turtle-
sand a little?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just smelling the earth.
Yep, I'm just breathing in the sea air, I think.
Miraja,
Yeah.
you are for a moment, a little translucent, a little tangible, and you feel this tug, not a literal physical tug, but like your body is trying to do something. You know the feeling when you're really thirsty and it's just almost like a pressure. Almost like that. There is a physical feeling of your body.
Is it at all a comparable feeling to when the fog touched me?
I would say different than that.
Okay.
I would say They're both similarly abstract feelings and probably both similarly unfamiliar feelings, but this one is less painful but more unfamiliar.
Is it hot or cold or ticklish?
No, it's heavy or thirsty or headachy or like dense. Probably a word that it feels like in your head, like your
Okay.
temples are like. It's not like heavily painful, but it's like a pressure headache.
Okay. Can I do like a I don't know, some sort of check on like my own like physical existence to like derive some sort of like understanding of like
Yeah, let's make
Like
that. Yeah, let's make that an
medicine check?
insight. Let's make that an insight check, as
Oh,
that's
okay.
your intuition.
You know, I have 6 medicine, but like whatever, it doesn't matter.
What's
Okay.
that? Oh, if you want to do medicine, yeah, you could do that.
Wait,
You could
wait.
yeah, that's
Is one better than the other in your opinion?
whatever
Ooh.
she thinks of first. But she did roll a natural 20 on insight.
Oh, I did?
26.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Which is impressive.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world is trying to make you have a physical body. Like made of meat and bones and stuff. Because that's how bodies work here, and if you don't have one, like, what would you have?
Wait, is that a question for me or rhetorical?
It's a rhetorical question that's in your insight. Like, what would it be to be on Earth and
Okay.
be intangible? What would it be to be on Earth and, like, have an appearance but not a physicality? That's
Help,
like,
I'm alive.
do you think that? Do you think I'm alive?
Do you say that?
No, I'm just
Yeah.
that
What
was
does she
leaving.
think is happening? Actually,
Oh, this is gonna be hard, and I was kind of dreading the question. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like it's like that struggle, like I was talking about earlier, which is like, do I want to leave? You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I'll say this. While you are struggling, you can hold on to this feeling. So let's assume that for a while you are a little bit distracted with this struggle. Lamia was headed across the
laying
water.
down or like standing,
What's that?
Like when we get like teleported, am I like standing or like laying
Yeah,
down?
you're
or
all
something?
in the same position you were in before, but on a little island.
Okay, so you're saying like holding on to this feeling.
Yeah, you can
the
hold on to
state-
that feeling and like not. You can. It's like you could let it happen. You could maybe try to force it in the opposite direction, but it's pretty easy to hold it in place at least while you think about it. So while that's happening, I'm going to move to Lamia, who is taking an action towards this little camp.
Okay. Yeah.
So so there's a couple. This is an area that I think. Let me just take a look whether you have to roll.
Oh, never mind.
So you yeah, this is an abandoned-ish camp. It doesn't look like anyone's been here for a while.
How long is a while? Can I tell?
You could make an investigation check to get more specific.
Sure. There it is.
Nice.
I love that we don't see the results until it's finished. It has at least been abandoned for weeks.
Okay.
So there's the flaps have blown open. Some of the tent like stakes are kind of the rough metal stakes are kind of coming loose. The fireplace has been sort of rained on several times. So it's got left here at least a while ago. But if it had been years, it probably wouldn't still be standing with ocean breeze.
Okay.
It's sort of protected by some dunes on one side and the trees on the other. So it's a pretty practical spot. So maybe it's lasted, even longer.
Do I see any signs of a struggle?
No, you don't see any signs of any like stuff left behind. It's like there's like a tent and like a little like lean-to or like storage size maybe or maybe like small creatures.
Okay.
But it looks like it was all packed up except for the tents. There's no signs of stuff left behind or blood or struggle or anything like that. It's just 2 tents and the remnants of a fire pit.
Would Tanya know whether this is like typical for this area, that people would just kind of like leave stuff up like that. I mean, technically her stuff is set up like that somewhere.
Yeah, it's fair. That's
But,
the
like-
first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, you could make an insight check to sort of get a sense of how normal.
Ooh, 23.
Oh, solid.
We're killing it in
I
this.
know.
Yeah,
I'm just worried about when the ones are actually going to show up.
so with that kind of role, you could imagine someone setting up a camp and saying, "I'll come back next weekend," and then just not coming back next weekend. You know, like something like that, or they were, they.
So
yeah.
So with that kind of like knowledge or insight, Tanya has now gotten up and would she know whether this water is drinkable?
Seawater, so you'd say no.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, the stream.
Yeah, the stream.
Sorry, yeah, the stream. It's high tide, so you probably wouldn't drink from it right here.
Okay. So she won't fill up her flask then.
I have a water spell. I can
But
create.
as she walks towards the campsite and walks like through the trees, she'll just start collecting like brush and stuff like this. Setting up camp is like second nature to her at this point. So she'll
And
just-
once Nico notices, like, she's like, oh, observing the water, I'm like, I can just clean the water.
Wait, but I have a water spell. Creation thing.
This is, and I
We
imagine
don't
the,
like
okay.
Wait, is there a fight over who gets to purify
So-
the water? Because I will jump into that.
I feel like this is like the first time you'll see like Tanya take the lead on something, and she'll be like, "Okay, you two get some water. I'm gonna collect like the branches and stuff.
Oh, wait,
If you all
sorry,
want to kind of like look out, make sure we're not like stealing somebody. Like this
Tanya.
is probably like really unusual for the people who just
I
met
would've
Tanya.
mentioned
Suddenly
Maraja
she knows she's in her
and-
element.
Yeah, she's definitely in her element, and she wants to try and set up a campfire so they can like eat and rest and like figure out what's next.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I missed what you were saying, Jamila.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I actually like my character Maraja actually hasn't said anything because I've
Oh, she's
okay.
like,
Yeah.
she's still
Okay,
like,
well then she'll just test Nico to do so if Nico
Okay.
said something.
I will say, as soon as as soon as Dimon notices you starting to do that, right, they'll say, I can set up an alarm so that we can sleep, and we'll get warned if anything bad shows up. Sound good?
Perfect.
It'll take me about 20 minutes, and then it will last for about 8 hours. Sound solid?
Perfect.
All right,
So
so I'm
then-
obviously casting alarm as a
Yeah.
ritual, so 21
right, so you're
minutes.
starting to cast alarm around the camp tents,
Yeah.
or yeah. I would say that this tent would these two tents would be kind of snug for all of you to sleep.
Well, Tanya doesn't sleep in a tent. She sleeps in her
oh.
shell.
That's fair. Yeah, well, that saves a lot of room. Yeah.
300 pounds of tortoise in a
Yeah.
tent.
All right, so we've got Tanya gathering stuff and kind of checking out the camp. We've got Dima casting a spell. We've got Maraja like focusing. So Nico and Lamia, what tasks are you setting yourselves to, or what are you doing?
I'm going to be collecting firewood and also lighting the fire. Some of my cantrips allow me to like heat food up really quickly and allow me to just instantly start a small campfire. So
Gotcha. So so joining in on gathering firewood and then starting it. Cool.
that being said, I've noticed by gathering firewood, like as I go about the task, I can't do what I used to do. I can't carry large pieces of wood.
Oh, you're like, I'll just get this log.
Well, so I tried, and like that's what's kind of happening. I'm trying to do this big woman stuff that I used to be able to do, and I am failing.
Tanya kind of gives out like a hearty chuckle, probably, and then we'll come over and help you lift whatever it is you're trying to lift.
And I'm going to like resign myself to picking up tinder to start the fire with. But
Yeah.
I'm just not thrilled about it.
Tanya
lot
will
of-
hand you like all of like the small branches and stuff that she was just collecting, and we'll start to grab some of the larger stuff.
Yeah.
I think I actually like. I'm probably going to like snap my mage hand to like get it to do things for me because I'm pissed.
It's not very strong.
But
Yeah.
it's really weak though. It's like strength 1, isn't it?
Listen, it can carry one branch.
Wait, I have a question. Didn't
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, didn't me and Lamia have like a mind thing?
You can keep that going. You have the ability to continue to basically speak back and forth telepathically.
I mean, would that even, like how would that even work? Like work in the real world?
It's telepathy. It's only vocal,
Oh.
so you can't read each other's minds. It's just like a walkie-talkie.
Oh,
in your
okay.
head.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Wait, so how would it be like terminated?
I think it lasts an hour.
Oh,
If you
okay.
turn it on, yeah, I think your ability lets you initiate. You can do it basically at will with people who are within 20 feet of you, and then you could take an action to maintain it with someone for an hour.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's right. I could look it up, but that's whatever. So everyone's getting pretty
Nico-
practical. This is interesting. So for some of you, this is your first time in the world, the first time in your world in a year, or the first time in your world in centuries. But most of you are just like, oh, camp, okay.
Yeah.
We're at camp. We do camp things.
I mean, I'm doing a magical thing. It just
That's
happens
true.
to be
That's
at a
true.
camp. I'm walking in circles and chanting in Elvish and all this good stuff.
Stretching out a silver thread, and yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something like you might want to check the area on a line. I think it's intentionally.
It says
kinda
a
small.
20-foot cube.
Oh. Oh, I guess that
which
means which I think in D&D means like 20 feet wide. I think, or maybe
think
40 feet
so.
wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, even 20 feet wide would be enough to get around both of those tents, right? It's not a
Yeah.
20 foot.
Exactly.
Right. It's not a 20-foot thread. So okay, yeah, you can get that around the camp.
Would Tanya know whether there's any like way to get small game or anything like that in this general vicinity so we could actually eat something?
Go fishing.
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
Yeah. So
I don't know how easy. Maybe the stream. I don't have any fishing tackle
So
or
there's
anything
mostly-
though.
so resources around. There's
Like
not so much
claws?
branches as brush.
No,
I don't know
no,
if-
use your
Some of
feet.
you I don't know how many of you have lived where there are palm trees, but they don't so much drop branches as drop these weird husks of the
Mhm.
stuff that sits on the top, like the equivalent of sort of dried hefty leaves. So there's lots of like brush
Little fronds.
and small plants that are dry because it's a beach, but not a lot of like firewood that would burn through the night. There's definitely seagulls around.
Ooh.
Um,
Not good eats though.
yeah, not good eating on those. Not always worth the trouble. And like, you would probably need to make, I guess, a nature check to see what is sort of good forage in this kind of area.
Or survival also, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay,
Nature
good.
or survival,
Really
whatever's
good.
better. And you can, and because it's your favored climate, you can make that at advantage. So you can roll again.
Good.
Because this is basically where you roll. So
I was hoping
That's a
for.
little better.
there we go. Yeah. So there's a few things you could do. You could probably dig for clams. You might find some crabs in the process.
She'd be really good at digging.
Yeah, she would be really good at digging. Yeah, so I'm thinking digging for clams. There might be some sort of seafood of some sort that Ian doesn't know about that would be likely to be in this sort of tidal stream.
Mhm.
So there's probably stuff that you could sort of
Crayfish.
like, yeah, crayfish, things that you might be able to like grab for, as opposed to you like fish would be hard, but like shellfish or mollusks are among your better bets.
She will make attempts to create a small feast because I mean, all she has is rations on her. So like, assuming that nobody else has much more than that, especially since Miraja clearly was not planning on doing this, like, right? Like, so she will probably go to like the stream, like on like the sandy part of it, and we'll start to like dig in like the sand in the stream. And if she does see like fish come by, she will attempt to like claw at them if she can.
All right, so let's to encapsulate this so that doesn't take forever. Start with me. I think since fishing is what it is, start with a luck roll for me. Roll a d20. Because that's fishing. Okay.
13.
15. All right. And then make I guess a survival? Probably
I'm good at survival.
fishing
Generally.
and scavenging.
14.
Right. So that is good enough to get some food. With that, if you're in the stream, you probably get like a few handfuls of crayfish and like a couple of small crabs that were hanging out. Not necessarily enough to feast on with that kind of roll, but like some food to eat. You'd have to, cook it somehow too. But that's some food obtained. What's anybody else doing?
Tucker has something.
Yeah, heard from Tucker in a bit. What is Nico up to?
Well, Nico was gonna look for like a cauldron or a pail. And he'll fill up the bucket with water and cast purify food and drink in it.
Make a luck roll to see if someone left something so practical here.
So D20.
Yep.
Okay.
You do not find such a thing in the camp area.
I have
Okay.
a water skin if I see you looking around for that. Would this help? It's empty.
I also
Oh,
have a
perfect.
flask or tankard.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll take all the empty ones. Nico's and
Yeah.
Lamia's water skin are full, so that works.
Tanya's probably has a little bit of something in it. She'll just quick finish it off and
Take a little nip before she. Yep. I buy that. It's the best way to keep your liquids fresh.
He'll also like hand over whatever food they grabbed that weren't the rations from their kitchen.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you had like a little camp set. And did we decide you did find cheese? It was debate.
I
I
mean,
think I
he
ate it
stuffed-
all.
I thought you ate all the
He-
cheese.
He
that's
probably ate all the cheese by this point.
Yeah, so let's say you've got like a half of a pretty hefty loaf of bread, plus, like Eris Temple's idea of rations is very practical, very filling, and very tasteless. So probably, kind of
Cram.
like the holy equivalent of hardtack, but probably like let me think, hardtack, nuts, hard sausage, like it's food. It's not like it's just an MRE. But it's like,
Yeah.
food that would last for just several weeks without any worry. Dried fruit, nuts, that sort of thing. So you had enough food for a couple people for a few days, as I recall. So that's certainly, dinner for 6 is dinner for 5, rather.
Yeah, and like when he was noticing Lamia having trouble like with the wood, he's like, maybe I should help. Like, no, maybe she doesn't want me to help. Good Tanya's going over there. Maybe when they're done, I'll go grab some more firewood.
Okay.
What is Tom doing this whole time?
Tom didn't show up with you. And this is
Oh.
the first time anybody noticed that. Yeah, he, yep.
Wait, I thought you said he did show up with us.
He was there before we teleported.
Yeah, he was there at the
Oh.
crystal.
He didn't seem to have much input on where we were going.
Inexplicably. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I think he might have sometimes said where you want to go or where are we going, but he's not here.
So Tanya probably like gathering up all this food is trying to like plan for 6 people, and we'll do like a 1, 2. Wait, where did Tom go?
All right, so you've got plenty of. It's like the kind of fire that's going to burn hot, and it's kind of a warm summer afternoon right now. Like late
That was actually
afternoon.
my question. Like, I guess everyone, hey, how cold is it going to get tonight?
Oh, that would be a nature or survival check.
Do you want me to make that?
Or not? Those are not
I have
things
Anyone who
I
wants
have.
to make it.
I have +5 to survival, so
Okay.
there you go, 22.
Assuming that not a lot of time has passed since you were camped out, like it's gonna be fine. It'll cool off, but it's summer. It's summer.
Okay. So the fire is important for our comfort and enjoyment, not to survive.
For food, basically.
Food, light.
Not
sense
just
that you
food.
have
It's very important to sit around a fire after a stressful day.
Exactly.
And once we have everything kind of all like set up and stuff, Tanya also has a dragon chess set.
Oh,
So-
nice.
Oh,
She'll start setting that up too.
So Dragon Chess is a game that I don't know the rules of. I'm not sure if they've ever been defined, but it is considered
No
one of the
idea.
like standard D&D
It's like a games
Yeah.
set.
It's like
that you
it's
can
D&D
get.
It's
chess.
basically blend, but for D&D.
I think it's fantasy chess.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Lamia.
So you've got water.
Yeah.
It's purified. You've got raw seafood. You've
There's a
got
fire going.
like a shelter if you need it. You've got a nice soft area of ground with a spell alarmed around it. You've got
Tucker, what were you saying?
Nico's trying to talk to Lamia.
Yeah, I was unmuting myself.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think we remember to pack a tent, bedroll, or blankets as he's digging through their bags, or at least his bag.
The bag that you grabbed included a bedroll. I remember saying that, and so you've got at least a bedroll if you grabbed one of those kits.
Okay.
I definitely have adventuring gear.
Yeah, you've
Okay.
also all got whatever gear you've got.
I'm pretty sure that includes
Oh,
that stuff.
I picked a different option.
Yeah, but you did scavenge, so you've got a bedroll because you
That's
took.
good.
So
Oh,
you can set up in my tent.
That's good. Oh, I have a sack. I can use this as a blanket.
So there
Nico,
is
Nico, to share.
there is already here. There is a tent that with a little bit of, like repair and just straightening, would be like a 2 or 3 person tent. And then there is a little tent that is meant for like a small creature that maybe one of the smaller of you could like curl up in, or like stick your feet out of if it were to rain. But there's also just like soft sort of grassy ground.
Nico,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're the smallest one here.
I am pretty sure I'm the smallest one here. It's fine. It's fine. I can do this. I have a sack for a sleeping bag.
Does
I can
anybody
manage.
else have a tent in their kit? You said
I
Lamia,
like
you
I
do?
didn't pick one up. I didn't pick one up because I figured Tanya wouldn't use one.
I think it's part of the adventuring gear, right?
Well,
It would say if it is. I don't remember. Let's see.
Well,
I
I'll
don't
have to
believe
look
it
it up,
in
but I don't think it's
what you
worth
grabbed.
spending time on now.
I don't know if it comes with tents. I think it comes with a bedroll
Yeah.
and
There's a tinderbox. A
yeah. I don't know if it actually comes with a tent.
Yeah.
Most
What's
of
a
them
net?
don't.
But Tanya will note that she doesn't need a tent. So
Right.
if
I have
Whatever
That's-
it includes,
what's
whatever
that?
it includes, it shows up in your equipment in D&D Beyond. So I'm gonna, through the magic of our best future sponsor, I'm sure. Let's see.
I
You've got
also have like almost every rule book next to me right now because I've been writing too much.
you've got some good stuff. You've got a backpack. You've got.
There's
Weirdly,
cooking
you could be a
pots.
witch hunter. You've got a bell and a candle. You've got a hooded lantern, an oil flask, rope, string, tinderbox, torch, water skin. I don't see tent.
Same. So like I don't know how long I've been like standing there, but can I do I want to like understand like if somebody touched me, like what
Right
would
now?
happen?
Yeah, right now you're staying in your previous state where like if they touched you, it would kind of depend on what you were both expecting, whether they would meet resistance or not.
Okay.
Like you can be intangible, but it's a little fluid.
So like
and
if
you're still
people-
like that right now. Like you can kind of see through yourself a little like usual.
So if like people looked at me, then like would I flicker in and out sometimes? Like what?
You don't know. You're not sure about that. You know that like at home normally, like whether like someone was able to touch, or the people were able to touch each other was kind of depending on both of their intentions. Like if you
Right.
didn't both intend to make contact, then you might just sort of pass through each other harmlessly.
But like, if people like
But
were
now-
expecting to see me or not, like would I like how would I?
People would definitely see you, so you're very rarely invisible. You're like translucent, but visible.
Okay. Does
So-
that like translucence like change at all?
It's like
Like, to feel
you can
happy?
feel that that's part of what's like tugging, like when you
Okay.
get pulled to the other direction. Like the world wants you to be solid, and it's not in your nature, and so nobody has won yet in this tug
Okay.
of war.
So like, are the sounds different? Because like in my head, when I was thinking about like the dream world, it sounds like echoey, and sounds are like going and
Yeah,
jumping off of memories and stuff. And so like, does sound feel like? Do I experience sound differently now?
in the sense that, how do I say this? In the dream world, all of the sound has meaning. Like someone is thinking of something, or something is happening, and that makes a sound. And sometimes things don't have a sound unless they do. And here, like, every little incidental thing that happens seems to come with a sound. The birds flying overhead make a little squawk. The water is bubbling.
So is it too loud?
It's not especially loud, but it is more prevalent than it's probably. Like every little thing makes a little sound, and it's not overwhelming, but it is a little weird that it's like there's a breeze, and breeze causes the trees to rustle. And like there's
Have I always breathed?
what?
Have I always breathed?
How do I say this? You always do, but you probably didn't need to. Right? Like breathing is a being behavior. You sort of had a pace that you breathed at, but like
Okay.
if you forgot about it, did it really happen? No.
Okay. I want to know what happens if I hold my breath.
Oh, okay.
And so I do that.
Okay.
Can I do that?
You can, yes, right now you can hold, well, actually this is weird. You hold your breath and, because you're holding your breath, not choosing to breathe, you can feel that time will run out. You can feel yourself like, like I need to breathe and I'm not right now and I've got some time, but like I need to breathe or this is not going to be good. The same way it feels when you hold your breath as a real person.
Okay, so I gasp loudly for air.
Okay, yeah.
Is that weird for me? Like, to feel urgency? Yeah,
because if you don't think about breathing, if you didn't think about breathing, you didn't need to, and now it's the opposite, sort of. Like if you think of it, you definitely need it. Which I guess is similar, but like with a different emphasis. Yeah.
So like, okay, so I gasp loudly for air.
This is a reasonable time for people who are like about doing their chores to definitely notice that Miraja has not moved, like is in the same square, so to speak, where she landed, and is like very interested in her own presence. Like she's presumably looking at herself, like looking around.
Can I like touch myself? Like, what happened?
Same as you ever would. Like, yeah. So your interaction with yourself is the same as before, which is that you touch yourself. You don't pass through yourself.
Okay.
I think at this point I lean over. Who would it be to? Probably to Nico, right? And be like, I bet you have just the right balance. Maybe go talk to her.
Hey, Miraja, how are you doing?
Does that sound like weird to me in any way?
and even that gets this intense look of thought.
How am I doing?
Like maybe in the dream world, like is it that when people call out to you, they don't need to be like within a certain range, what is that experience like? Like it's directional sound.
Yeah, it's different. Sound is a very abstract thing in the dream. It doesn't have a lot of the like details, nuances, and variables that real world sound has. So from your point of view, sound comes from a direction and it's happening even if it's not part of the story. It's a little, I don't know. I don't know how you would react to that. I could imagine it seeming weirdly arbitrary.
Yeah, I look in the direction of the sound when I've never had to do that before. And I think it's so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing Miraja just like staring at Nico like
physics is just wow.
Yeah. Like
are you okay?
And I don't even know what that means. Like
it's a little
because I feel like okay is like it's kind of like a status of like permanence. Like what is like your status and like what even is a status in a world where... Are you
saying this, or are you just, like, looking blankly at Nico?
No, that's, like, what's going on in my head. I haven't, like, said a single word.
So I
wanted you to say all of that so bad.
Actually, there is a very real possibility that Lamia hears some of that if you're, like, thinking really loud.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that, but yeah.
Like that's up to you. It's up to Miraja or Jamila whether that things leak.
Oh, you know what? I have a question, Lamia. Maybe this can... be interesting for you to explore, but like remember when I was trying to convince you of like the absurdity of my world and that just felt like gobbledygook to you? It felt like nonsense. How does that reverse feel for you?
Is this in character or not in character right now?
I'm sorry, I'm not. Wait, well,
it's telepathic.
Talk to me as Yamila.
Or no, yeah, I am talking to you.
Talk to me as not Yamila. As
Miraja.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay, so that right there was just like me talking to you, like letting you know, like just like to give you some idea.
So what is
Miraja?
Yeah, is Miraja communicating? Well, the
thing is, like, I'm not really like having coherent thoughts, right? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like having like linear thoughts, like, right? Like, so like that's kind of what's going through my mind. Is like it's not like okay, and like I'm kind of trying to understand even the way I think, which is like A and B now versus like A B. Like
so everyone's vision of this is Miraja still being kind of stuck.
I know, but I figure Miraja will figure her shit out as I'm collecting firewood. Like, unless she reaches out to me, I'm not going to like communicate with her.
Okay. Yep.
Well, like, are you able to like observe any of this happening?
I'm literally collecting firewood, so
Yeah.
I'm probably not within eyesight.
No, Nico will be defensive to you.
Yeah, so I think Dimma and Nico have kind of acknowledged seeing Miraja.
Right, and Dimma's like, I have no ability to handle my background is I was like, I bet that Tanya is too down to earth. But Nico seems like he can be like
What's the
helpful,
difference?
right?
Yeah, he
but
thinks
also,
that she might be in shock.
right, but has his head just enough in the clouds to be able to like to get through. And Dimma's gonna be no help because like we are from too many different worlds. So I think you're even positioned right so that like you can poke.
Well, that's right. Nico is potentially over there.
Oh yeah, no, he's been
Yeah.
he's been like poking at her as like she's staring into space. Like,
Make an insight check.
Do I need to get a doctor?
Yeah.
You make an insight check. I think there's one
Cleric.
part of this that we can resolve.
Call the cleric.
Oh no.
Wait, me or
Oh,
No,
Nico.
that's the problem. If we call the cleric, you're.
I'm the cleric.
All right. Yeah, 10's enough to know that this person is. They're okay. It's not like it's like an existential crisis, not a physical crisis at this point. Like this person isn't in shock. They're just like in their own head.
Hey, why don't we have a seat by the fire?
Like, does that confuse me as well? Because like location and like position. Like,
I don't think so. I think like at this point, like remember, like dreams mimic real life. Like going to have a seat by the fire is a thing that people do in dreams. So like it has a narrative structure rather than just sort of like the world being weird. And it involves people interacting and very normal stuff for you.
Okay.
Nico is just gonna guide her towards the fire and like have her sit down and maybe staring at it will help her like
Like
figure
kind of
herself out.
like gently kind of like guide. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
resist or do you go along with being led to a fire?
I don't resist.
Well, let's assume that you make it to the fire. That
Okay.
your feet probably give it.
Do I experience like that in
Yeah.
dream world? Like,
I mean,
wetness? Okay.
yeah, I mean, people. I don't know about you, but like I dream about going swimming with my phone like every night. So like you've probably experienced this like concept of being wet, but now it's like
Okay.
more real, and it's actually not unpleasant. It's a hot afternoon, and this water is cold, and it's sort of fleeting, and it reminds you that your feet are on the earth, which is a nice sort of symbolic moment. Might not be that discouraging, because it's a metaphor that exists even in dreams. And you are led, and there's a warm fire, and people are kind of every now and then coming and bringing things that are, flammable into it. There's a couple of little tents set up. There's what I think might just be a pile of crabs and crawfish at this point. I'm not sure. But there's a lot, there's activity, and people are acting like it's normal, which in my experience probably makes it feel a little more normal.
Okay, so I've just not been resisting Nico's like invitations and stuff, and I'm sort of like absentmindedly, like I'm not looking at anything. I'm like looking inside my head, and then I ask, "Where is the time?"
Tanya not fully understanding the question because I don't think she ever got the grasp of time in the dream. We'll be like, well, it's dinner time now. And it has like all this like food laid out and like
she's been like cooking them probably like directly on the fire because there's no like pot.
Right, like it's probably to like the side, so there's like the heat
like
and
on
the
the
coals.
sand, yeah.
Like she's probably moved some coals to the side and it has them on top of the hot coals instead of over the open fire. But like she never grasped the concept of time in like the dream world, and for her it was like a blip, right? Like we were only there for less than a day, and so to be back on Earth is just so normal, and like can't conceive that somebody would be viewing the world in a different perspective. And so she's completely like, I mean, she thinks that Mirage has got some like weird thing, but assumes it's just like the same kind of weirdness that she had going to the dream world. Now it's just kind of like flipped and is just kind of like, well, she'll kind of figure it out or whatever. And it's like, it's dinner time. Let's eat.
I love it.
That Midwestern auntie coming through.
have you? It just occurred to me that maybe I will start tapping lightly on a surface to like experience like wraiths and stuff like that.
Right. So time was so steady for you because you were so in tune, and now time is like very consistent, and you're not in sync with it yet. So I think at this point it is 8:15, which is about our traditional break time, and someone has said it's dinner time in character. So I think it's a perfect time for us to. I assume everyone likes to break for 15. So if we can be back here before 8:30 Eastern, I will pause the stream, and we're back. Hi everybody. So everyone's had their snack and their break now, and we realize that probably a good way to imagine this is that the party gathered around the fire, eating, and sort of took their time kind of quietly, eating some messy seafood and getting their thoughts in order after this weird day. So we'll pick up there kind of near the end of dinner. Let's assume it's gotten starting to get a little bit darker, sunsetty, sun setting off in the west, starting to. We're back with the group around a fire. It's going to break the dinner silence.
So Tanya will kind of claw out the last of whatever mollusk or whatever she was eating, and probably like lick the claws, right? Like she's used to just being by herself and like eating on her own or whatever, so she has no tableside manners whatsoever. And so she'll like sit then and just kind of like look around the fireplace and be like, well, now that we've had a chance to sit and a chance to eat, what? Well, I gotta figure out where we are, I guess. But what now?
Oh, I think you're muted, Mila. I think you're muted.
I haven't touched my food. I haven't committed to eating it yet. Adjusting to the sounds of the plates clinking and the spoons clinking has been strange for me. So I work up the courage to ingest something. And as I do that, I feel the pressure of the food going down my throat and something of pressure coming from inside and something new that's never happened to me before. I vomit.
Oh.
Just casually.
Very. Oh, yeah, that's very real.
Like, so imagine, if you will, like your like Midwestern aunt has just prepared the meal, thinking that like everybody's gonna enjoy, and then you like immediately regurgitate what you just ate. It's gonna like freeze and like look and make sure everybody else is like enjoying it. Like was that bad? Like I know it's like really like impromptu. I don't have any spices here, but
I assume you get from the rest of us. We definitely all ate it. I have this sinking feeling that Dimma eats grossly, like Dimma like enjoys the head of the crayfish and other disgusting things like that.
Like no table manners because no table. Yeah.
I don't say no table manners, just like eats the stuff I would expect to discard.
Oh, yep.
shells, like you're crunching on like shells and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that feels very right to me.
Nico might be on seconds, maybe thirds if there's enough food by the time the puking happens.
Yeah.
Well, Nico's probably eaten Tanya's food before too, I would assume.
Probably.
Why does the sound have a place? You're loud. You're drinking. It's loud.
Sorry?
I look over to whoever may have just taken a drink. Why does the water have a place?
A place. Well, that's how the world works. That's Tanya's best understanding.
I keep tapping. I'm tapping.
And it's not keeping.
Have a place?
Okay, so there's a lot on your mind. Very little on mine, to be honest.
Let's see. I want Dimma to make an insight check. Oh, is that I see the results so slowly. I get like the maximum anticipation, which is not helpful. A 9. All right. Insight. Yeah, you do though. This will come to you in a different way because it wasn't super insightful. You remember, like, being, like human shaped, a humanoid, a body for the first time, and it being disorienting. This person is going through something that is a long time ago for you. This was familiar.
Okay, so
Like a metaphysical rather than an emotional crisis.
I'll see if I can like Miraja, and see if I can like get you to focus on me, kind of like one does with a baby. I won't say that, but I am thinking that. All right. Those are good questions. They are so hard to answer. It will be easier to answer questions which sound hard, like, so where are we going? Trust me, this will help you. It's part of the journey. So's that? But no, really, where are we going? This isn't.
First, we have to figure out exactly where we are.
We're on the coast.
We're definitely on the coast, somewhere along the peninsula between Hearth and Colophon, but it's a pretty large area.
There's stars, right? Can some of you people use stars to know where they are, right?
Is it dark enough to see
I've definitely
stars?
heard of that.
The sun is just starting to set, so you've got a nice sort of warm sky. Not a lot of stars. You probably got like the position of the sun and the moon and the stars coming soon. So before long, I will say it strikes me that as a person who. So actually, let me ask this, Tanya. Do you ever follow the coast, or do you tend to take a boat along the coast?
I think that more times than not, she takes a boat.
Okay.
That's not to say that she has never followed the path of the coast before, because I think that there's not always the means, and maybe the weather is not always right, or whatever. Like, it's not unheard of for her. And I imagine for some areas it might even be quicker. Like, to go from Hearth to Port Haven, I imagine it would be easier on the path because of like all the islands and things you'd have to like get around, and they're like in bays. Like, it would probably almost be quicker to take roadways between those two.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you would know that. I'll say this: you would know that this is more remote. Like, you couldn't be in the immediate vicinity of Port Haven or Hearth because those areas are much more crowded. That's until the stars or other possibilities. That gives you,
And I would imagine she's probably used the stars to navigate before because she's used to sleeping outside, and like she travels all the time. I also have a +5 survival, so
Yeah. Feel free to make a survival or a nature check. I think survival check is most appropriate to see if you know more about where you are.
I'll take a 22.
There you go. Oh yeah, you're much closer to Colophon. This is more like the end of the peninsula than they are. So you don't know exactly how far, but you're not days and days from Colophon for sure. You must be, in that general region, just from the lack of development.
Tanya will probably kind of turn to the group, probably Dimma specifically, because he kind of asked sort of like a question. Well, the stars aren't quite out yet, but just kind of looking out into the sea, you see over there, like, could you see like probably like the land masses of some of the islands off in the distance?
Well, let me look.
Or,
A really cool
like,
question.
the trade winds or the scaled isles. Like, I imagine she'd be able to kind of determine approximately how close or far away she is from,
Yeah,
like, the
actually,
ends of those islands.
Yeah, the main thing you can see, actually, because of where you are, you can see the coast itself kind of curving, right? And that shape would be the most distinctive thing to tell you where
So
you
I
are.
can probably see the coast that's closer to Port Haven, where it kind of comes up north
Yeah, you could see. Yeah, you can see like you can see in the distance. You can see what is sort of that coast, and you can see in the other direction. You can see kind of a point hooking out, like you know that must be. Yeah, yeah, they're not quite as hilariously big as they are on the map, but you'd definitely be able to get a bit of a bearing. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say this: the peak is definitely to the east of you. You know, so you're in that stretch that's much closer to Colophon.
I look to see if Miraja is successfully following our gazes to the far off points.
But like, is she, so? Yeah, that.
Right,
Yeah.
that whole thing that if you point, a dog will look where you're pointing, and a cat will look at your finger.
Right. Yeah. So what is how is Miraja reacting to all this? How is that like? I think I see what Dim is doing, and I kind of wish I had an NPC here to do it, so it's cool. But what is Miraja's reaction to all of this like directional pointing and navigating?
Unlike a dog or a cat, but maybe like both, I look at both the mountain and the finger, and both of them are still there for as long as they need to be, which doesn't make sense to me.
I'll take
And
it.
I look at Tanya just staring. I stare at her like very intently, and I look troubled and confused, and I just
very uncomfortable, and she'll turn to Nico, and because Nico knows that, or Tanya knows that Nico's and Lamia's fathers live over by Westwise, but probably doesn't know whether or not they've been this far west before. So being like really uncomfortable, she'll try to continue the conversation and just be like, Nico, Lamia, have you all been this far west before towards Colophon?
Nico will shake his head and then like take another forkful of food.
Yeah, you probably. I guess. Yeah, you probably haven't. I guess it's quite a ways to go unless your dad was dragging you somewhere.
Especially since you're only on the world for a period of time.
I think of it as like summer camp.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we should go to Colophon just because that's the closest center of civilization. Yes, it will be easier to travel from there.
While we're in Colophon, there's something I want to look up. Not all of the prophecies that we saved were good. If they could have been destroyed in that place, I bet there's another way of destroying them, and we should probably see if we can. I hear there's a university there. Maybe they know something.
Ooh, there. I'm up for the university plan. I'm very curious what they would say. There are more questions than answers there. Prophecy manipulation is right, like.
Apparently, prophecies are a dying breed anyway. We're just helping them out.
At the news of like heading towards Colophon, Tanya will kind of sigh and just be like, "Well, I suppose I can just buy more adventuring gear in Colophon." She was so sad.
That's like little passive aggressive mom. Like, I guess I could get a new pot anyhow.
Sorry, what?
Well, when I got pulled to wherever we were, I mean, I was doing stuff.
Your egg came with you. I thought, and you
That's
had
always
that.
on me, of course. And she'll like reach in to make sure, it's still there.
Slight moment of pre-panic, but it's there. You're good.
Yeah. If you make me think about it too much, I'll worry. But I mean, I had some, camping equipment. It's not like everything just came with me.
Oh, yeah, I assumed it did. Huh.
Everything on your character sheet came with you, and everything else that you would have had that would have been more substantial is back there.
But I suppose I can purchase more things. In fact, think about it. I do know a cookbook from Colophon. Let me
like go get it, but if not, I don't know. But I just found this, and he pulls out like a giant sack of coins that just happened to be in his bag.
Yeah, like your starting money, it probably makes sense that that was just the starting money, like in the like it was like the away mission kit that you grabbed. That makes total sense.
Tanya has less than 30 gold on her. So
It is a bag full of 100 gold coins.
Tucker is like audibly gasped, probably.
I'm sorry, who was calling for Tucker?
Yeah, Tucker, is your bag empty now?
My backpack?
Yeah.
No, my backpack has stuff in it, but he found a bag of coins also in it.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
I suppose I can part with it. It wasn't that terribly interesting.
Miraja, you're exhausted, and it's a new feeling. Your body is trying to tell you it needs to do something. That just feels like instinctively very strong. And the rest of you are probably also starting to get what you recognize as sleepy after a very rough day. It is not yet dark, but it's getting there, and you've got food in your stomachs, which may be why.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel perfectly secure. We'll be woken by a magical bell if anything bigger than like a mouse comes by.
Are we allowed to leave and come back in, by the way?
Oh yes, I marked the five of us. Yeah,
Okay.
no worries.
That works for me.
Yeah,
Nico, would you like to go for a walk?
Yeah, sure.
While you do that, why don't so now that I've caught on this is what's happening, I think I would be like, Miraja, I can help you like set up a bedroll. I bet you don't do that.
And Tanya will just sit at her dragon chest setting it up and like pondering.
I look over. I'm like, I'm so tired, but yeah, it's been too long since I've. Now Dimma's the one who's like, I need more time.
Distracted. Great.
Was it Tanya who had taken some damage that like reduced your like cap or something?
I think a couple of us did, but
Yeah.
I'm not at my max HP right
Yeah,
now.
a bunch of you are at the point where you can't really regain hit points until you take a long rest, which I am choosing to express as that very tired feeling starting to come up. It's not like you have to sleep. It's like a reminder. It was my reminder to the players that a lot of the characters are damaged in a way that healing won't help until you rest.
I don't have max HP, and my max HP is lower than normal, so I'm both injured and exhausted.
Now you will gain that all back when you. No one's at a point where you don't gain it all back when you sleep.
I'm curious about like I looking over to Tanya, and I'm curious about like the kind of damage that since Lamia and Nico are away right now, right?
Well, I was gonna say I'm assuming that Lamia and Nico are going for a walk together now. And what I think I would like to do is follow them for a bit to see what they have to talk about as siblings, and then we can. What I would say is when we come back, we could always encapsulate like a summary of what you guys did while they were gone. And I'm going to play with some different systems for this, so that when we split the party, things move kind of quickly, but we get the conversation part, which I think is the most important. Clove and I have started to draft something actually that might become a system for that. So we'll do a little. It's not ready, but it's a good idea version of that. And let's imagine that everyone else is kind of doing what they do, and we'll follow these two for a bit on their walk and get a. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's a perfect analogy. And we get the lights. It's dark, but you get these lights on the two siblings who find themselves kind of, I'm guessing, wandering down the beach.
So, Lamia has taken off her shoes and is just like wiggling her toes through the sand as they walk, and listening to the sloshing of the water on the beach, and looking up towards the light fading from the sky, and walking with Nico, and just kind of having her hands in, I believe I have a cloak, but kind of turning to Nico and like revealing from the cloak, which she usually tries to keep really pinned around her, like what her frame now looks like.
like she's wiry, she's not stocky.
Yeah.
Like Nico is like I think subconsciously he's trying to avoid having a real serious conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's weird and he's like like there are moments where he's like, "What's up, Lamia?"
Little
Yeah.
denial, little.
But here we are because I literally just pulled us out of the campfire. So, hey, I'm sorry. I know this is a lot.
I don't know what you're apologizing for. But I mean, I'm okay. Are you okay?
Maybe. Yes and no. Yes and no at the same time. I'm both. It's weird not being Tyro, but it's also really nice. And it's like a big amount of stress has been taken off my chest, but at the same time, it's really weird having the memory of being Tyro, and yet I couldn't chop wood today. I couldn't chop any wood. I couldn't lift it. I wasn't strong enough to lift the wood anymore. What the hell?
I mean, okay. That can be very distressing, but I mean, everything that we were taught, like not everybody needs to be able to chop wood.
I know it was just. I don't want to say core to my identity, but we did it so often. I can't believe. I don't even know if I miss chopping wood, like a bit. And I did all of this so I could not work all the time, but I find it so ingrained still. It's like I've shed so much, and at the same time, I'm still so much very Tyro.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that now that you can't do something, you want to do it?
No, I don't want to chop wood, but I'm mad that I can't.
Oh, you are so confusing.
I am confused.
Look, I don't think that we can trade with whatever to get the previous version of you back.
I
So,
don't really want it back either. Also, I'm sorry we couldn't go to Westwise, but like Mom's definitely gonna look there for me, for us, and I don't want to have to explain this to Dad, like one family member at a time.
okay, so like there was a moment where he paused because you mentioned mom, and like that cognitive dissonance like just broke. Like, oh, right. But like, Dad hasn't seen us in like over a decade, so he doesn't even know what you're supposed to look like.
I was Jack as a 7-year-old.
People change. Growth spurts are weird. I mean, he predicted I was gonna be like taller. Anyways,
Tall.
Ian, they say no. People can only hear you. Something's wrong with the audio.
What's that?
Apparently, people can only hear your audio.
Oh,
Something.
oh, mine? Are you saying we missed? Oh, please tell me not. That is very bizarre. It's way down. Oh shit. I may be able to get it back in post because it was down, not off. I don't know how. Thank you for telling me. Carry on, please, folks.
So do we repeat or?
Why don't we back up a little bit so that people get the gist of some of that? I may be able to rescue it in post, but I don't want to make you repeat it. But if you'd like to make sure a version of it is out there, I'm happy for you.
Okay.
do you want to just sum up, Clove, and maybe we can just cut back?
Sum up. The TLDR of what just happened. I'm going to speak in first person for this. I'm really fucking, or like, I don't miss being Tyro, but at the same time, I'm mad that I can't do the things that I used to be able to do. It's nice having the trade-off, or it's like magic is cool, like Eldritch Blast is awesome, but I can't chop firewood. What the fuck? This was my bread and butter. I used to do this all the time, and we were just talking about like why I said we can't go to Westwise and why I'm worried about seeing Mom and having to explain this already to one family member. And sorry, can't see Dad, avoiding Mom, can only explain to one family member at a time. Is that like everything? Am I missing anything?
There was,
Yeah.
I think specifically, I want to capture the worry that if you go to where Dad is, you'll like that's where Mom's going to look, so you'll definitely be dealing with both of them. And the feeling that I got that I want to make sure people understand is like Clove sounded torn, like living with the reality of not being who she was, even though she wants it. Oh God, yes, Lamia, of course. And so there's that like I can't chop wood, but like I'm not saying I want to chop wood. I'm saying it feels weird to be different now. The impression I got. Which I think is...
Yeah, that's exactly how Lamia feels. So.
Yeah, and Nico is like, oh God, why are you ruining my cognitive dissonance about how I have to talk to Mom eventually?
Hey, listen, I made a deal with the Fae. You can make a deal with the Fae too.
That's not the solution.
It's a solution.
and like, oh, Dad's not gonna be like, hey, what changed about you? He hasn't seen us in like over a decade, so it's not that difficult.
Oh, wow. You win, by the way. Tucker wins. I believe there's a special prize for getting someone to do that. We won't. Amazing. All right, let's give them to give them a moment to regain their composure. So back at the camp, and I mentioned we're doing this thing that we want to try, which is that when we have to split the party, we want to make sure we focus on the conversations. And so, briefly summarizing what people are doing back at the camp while this is going on.
Yeah. So I was saying that Dimma, like having caught on that, okay, I don't really remember what it was like anymore, like for it to be stuck in the world, but I can follow some instincts, and like one, sleeping is hard, and two, Mirage is having like sensory overload. However, I can cast Minor Illusion as one of my cantrips. I can use that to make sounds, just little, fairy notes and stuff. And I was imagining that, especially if Miraja is like, most people, when you put them down on a bed, like if they're tired, whether they want to or not, they go to sleep. Especially if you have something lullaby-y. So that's what Dim was trying to get Miraja to do. You let me know if this succeeds, Miraja. But right, like, here, look, and you can lay down, and like, I know, why don't you tap like you were doing? Yeah, listen to this, and like, tinkle, tinkle. So, what are your thoughts?
Sure.
Right, so you like lay down a bedroll. Does Miraja like cooperate with lying down? Like this is what we do now, or is she still, or is she caught up in this?
Yeah, I'm just going with the flow.
Oh. And what's Tanya doing back at the camp during this sort of segue?
Well, Tanya was playing with the dragon chess set that she had, but as it gets darker, she'll probably start to kind of pack it up. And if she's alone, she'll probably take the egg out of her shell and just kind of like, because last we left before the session, she was made to realize that this egg means something.
Right.
And so, like she kind of got wrapped up in being back on the world, but now that she's alone and like with her thoughts, she'll definitely pull that egg out and just kind of look at it and probably almost kind of like talk to it and be like, we've been together this whole time. And I know that we are that family. And I know that this egg is supposed to mean something, but it does mean something. Like it clearly means something. And she'll just kind of like continue like sort of like talking to the egg and trying to like parse out like the information she gained between like Tom and Dimma even kind of said a little bit too of like, oh, you're that family kind of thing. And like, oh, it's that egg, or, I forget exactly what was said, but like, she's now like, she always thought that they were the family, but it's like, now she knows that this is the egg and this is what the lore is written about, and she is like that lineage, and now the egg is even just infinitely more precious to her, and now even like that she's thinking back to like some of the times where the egg acted differently. So like when there was like at the very beginning, like when the moon kind of was reacting and then the egg reacted to that, like before she was like, oh, it was probably just like my mind, and now she was like, what if that was like a thing? What if that was like a signal? Did I miss something? Or like, so now she's like, I don't know if catastrophizing is the right word, but she is thinking back on any point in time where this egg maybe tried to send her a signal and she didn't know that it was a thing, or I don't know. Like she's just like thinking about all of the moments that she had with this egg where she just kind of thought it was like a big deal, but like now knows it's a big deal.
There's an interesting parallel there with Lamia. Like I finally got what I always wanted, and now I don't know what to.
Yeah.
Which is a cool segue back to the twins. I want to make sure that the rest of that conversation can happen. I just sort of got back to see what's in parallel with it. And I wanted to give Clove a chance to catch her breath after that little moment.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, what's the rest of this conversation? What do you have more to say or more to ask each other? Assume you're.
I know that I look different, and I guess I want to live different, but it seems like that's going to take a lot more effort than I originally thought it would. Even though I've shed my skin, basically, kind of like gesturing at my body. Even though I've shed my skin and changed my deity, I haven't been able to shake doing everything practical, making sure everything is in order, making sure that we are good, that everything is set, that I can't stop doing chores. They feel different now. It feels a lot better now, but I can't stop. But regardless, you're definitely still one of my priorities, and like I just want to make sure you're good, because I'm really glad you came, and I'm sorry you came, and I'm glad you came, because I don't know how this is going to affect you and Mom, but like thank you, and I'm sorry, but I'm really glad you're here, and I'm gonna do my best to make sure that you're safe. Okay?
Okay, like his face keeps changing by like every different topic she brings up. Like he brings like, oh, prom with you and Mom, huh? What? Like, oh, I'm just glad you're here. Oh, yeah, that's good.
I'm sorry you're here. So there's a lot of like,
Yeah.
a lot to process.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I mean, if you need to figure out what you want and who you want to be, that's normal, I'm told.
We weren't allowed to before.
I mean, I felt like we were, but if you didn't feel that way, that's a problem, and problems need to be fixed. But I mean, no matter what you look like or what name you go by, I still love you.
Can we in character hug?
Yes, our characters can hug.
I'm imagining like this weird, like very tender, but also kind of comically mismatched pair of people hugging.
Especially since Nico might squeeze a little harder, like than this is used to, because like they used to like have like squeeze competitions.
Oh god!
Oops! Oh god! I'm sorry.
Yeah, they kind of look like a similar person, but one of them was like rolled out twice as long. Like, oh, that's a sweet moment. I imagine if there were a camera, it would sort of hold on to that for a bit, and there'd be like the sunset and kind of some calming.
Yeah.
It gets ruined by the sound of Lamia's back being cracked.
I was thinking like a cracking sound followed by like by like seagull noises or something equally awful, comical. Yeah.
Nature.
Do they hang out for a while together, or do they come back to the camp? What's their? Sure.
I mean, I guess there's going to be a point where like Nico's going to get antsy and wants to like make sure everyone else is safe.
Yeah. I'll kind of. I think I'm going to wander back more slowly and just kind of sit on the beach for a bit. But I'll be within yelling distance, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we get attacked, the alarm spell will go off. See you then.
All right, let's see what it's like. So what's yes, this what's Nico's body language? Heads back into the camp. I think he's.
You know, like he's really tired. Like he's wanted a nap for like hours. So he's like, okay, that was emotionally draining, but I am too tired to actually register those feelings. I am eager for.
Okay, that's beautiful. Let me ask this: does anybody have anything they really want to do before the characters sort of find themselves waking up the next morning? I think that's probably a really good point for us to wrap up on. Is what that looks like in terms of leveling and the questions and ideas people have then.
I would just. Oh, go ahead.
Tanya, you go first.
I was just gonna say that if Nico approaches or Dima comes out of the tent or whoever comes by first, Tanya will put the egg away as they approach. And then as people start to settle in, even though Tanya's not going to be in the tent, she's going to be near them so that way she can try and be within the perimeter of the alarm spell. Yep. Although she also has, I forget what it's called, danger sense too. So she's not as easily surprised.
Okay.
Remind me, I think everyone sleeps normally except for Tanya and maybe... do you trance or do you sleep, Dima? I actually can't remember.
Let's assume Dima sleeps. Maybe later then we'll figure out trancing if we're wrong.
Yeah, I think you sleep too. So, about 3 hours into the night, Tanya finds herself kind of fully rested. Lamia, go ahead, sorry.
I also had one.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Then we're not there yet. Yep.
Quick question. I know that when my character will level up, new warlocky things happen. And so, like, she probably needs to contact her patron, but she doesn't know how to do that.
Yep. Do you think she would do that? Actually, let me ask. I could imagine her trying to do that in the night rather than in the morning, so maybe that's sort of a transitionary scene.
Yeah, it would definitely be a nighttime thing for her, especially, like, she's drained, but it's also, like, this all happened at night, and I feel like doing it at night, like, feels more right than doing it during the day, especially with, like, the stars out. So I'm not sure if this is the sort of thing she would attempt alone. I'd probably go try and grab Dima, honestly, because, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, I can see this going two ways, and I'll give you guys the choice, because it's really... I could see a situation in which Dima is fast asleep unexpectedly, but the moon's ring is out. Or a situation where Dima is awake and has this interaction consciously. I think either of those could be interesting, and either way, both players would be in the scene.
I was imagining Dima was fast asleep. In fact, you, I could, if you'd prefer, you could. I mean, you could wake Dima up, right? Like, or the moon's ring could have a chat.
Moon's ring can talk? But, like, what? Honestly, no, my first instinct is going to go for Dima. So, despite you being asleep,
yep,
Lamia's just going to be a rude motherfucker and be like, hey.
I'm sleeping outside a tent. I'm just, like, on the ground because, like, I sleep under the stars. That's a thing I'm used to. So, like,
like a little shaking awake from someone who's not used to being asleep.
Yep.
Sorry about this. I feel like I just have a deep sense that I need to talk to, well, my patron, and I don't know how to do that. Is that... It was you.
Yeah.
How do I talk to kind of you?
Usually either we find you or you walk around a tree, but darn it, I guess you found me, so I guess this will have to do. I will, like, full on ordinary sleepy human, right? Like stumble over and be like, come on, and like go to like sit in the little, like to dangle feet into the little stream.
Okay. Feet dangled.
Yep,
All
right.
let's to give this some structure too. What will tell us what Lamia will be gaining, so that you guys have a structure for what you might talk about how that happens.
Yeah. So Lamia is, or wait. So am I just basically giving my level up?
Yeah,
update?
you can sort of out of character tell us the parts that you want to tell us roughly, so that Eric is up to speed and the audience, so that you guys can then have a structure to talk about how you would role play, how that might come.
So this isn't exactly out of character, but Lamia's kind of been debating, like, she feels like more power is starting to surge through her, and she's been trying to figure out, like, which path do I go down? Like, do I want to go for something more stabby? Do I want to go for something with more spells? Like, and the way it boils down is she's just looking for stuff to protect Nico. So on an out of character level, it's like third level warlock gets like some sort of pact of the blade or pact of the tome or the familiar, which we don't care about here. So I'm getting pact of the tome and 3 cantrips as a result.
I know exactly what to do with this. So, assuming you open with like, so I feel the power pretty much.
Like I it's like an itch that I can't scratch, but in a bubbly, magically kind of way.
Yeah.
I feel ready to learn.
Is that how it goes?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And you were definitely doing a lot of magic over there. You had good instincts. What do you want to do? Like you made this pact for a reason. What do you want out of it right now?
I just want to keep Nico safe. I mean, I want all.
Oh.
What?
Those words. Did you feel the weight to that? It's the just that does it. If you say, I want to keep Nico safe, that was just like a statement. But the feeling there, I just want to keep Nico, that is the kind of thing that right, pacts and oaths are made on.
Oh shit, what'd I do?
Yeah, no, I think you did it. Now understand here, right, this is, right, you aren't serving my aims here. And they're all like look meaningfully up at the moon. But yeah, you hit the right thing. Focus on that feeling.
Okay.
Right, you don't do magic like me. You do it with just you make this connection and then you use your intuition for where to put it. Your connection is getting a bit stronger. Okay. So you just kind of have to, open your heart, let it in, be a little bit more willing to do whatever it is may be asked of you.
I reach into my pack and grab my dagger and say, is this really the only way?
How am I the literal one here? Yeah. Yeah, you right. Follow that feeling. It's, yeah. You don't have, yeah. It's those things. If you find like you suddenly need to, for example, in the morning, I don't know, help a lost farmer boy get a start on his quest, then do it.
What?
Yeah, that seems about right.
I'll be compelled to do this, or?
No, if you feel like maybe you should, without being compelled, then you should definitely do it.
Okay.
Because, exchanges, pacts, that's how this works.
Okay. I will talk to a farmer boy tomorrow and give him a star?
That was just a hypothetical.
Okay. So how do I know when the situation comes up?
You'll know it when you see it.
Oh boy. Okay. So I guess I'm just going to meditate on wanting to keep Nico safe in the stream.
Sounds perfect. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Have a good. Yep.
Yeah. I'm like in the stream, like.
The immortal wizard is sleepy, and the warlock is sitting with her feet in the cold water.
I'm like, You know, it was nice at first, but now it kind of sucks.
This is a weird job.
Yeah.
Boss is a little strange.
Yeah. All right. Timo's going back to sleep unless somebody else messes around.
I haven't heard any of this. 'Cause, like, Tanya's not
Hey!
independent.
My assumption is that that's the only thing that would happen at night. But what's I didn't hear what Tucker just said though.
Oh, I was just being a jerk. I was like, "Hey, Dimma, I've got questions on how this warlocky thing works on my sister."
Okay, I think we're gonna imagine that that's like the like the end of a like at a transition cut in like an anime or cartoon. There's like a little scene that happens that you're not sure if it really happened or if it's just a joke. I think that might happen as you're trying to get back to the camp. And then I'm imagining nightfall, and I'm imagining let's see, so sometime very early in the morning, Tanya probably wakes up. Because that's a fact of logistics of the game, it turns out. But I think what's most important is seeing what everyone sort of is up to when it's a brand new day. So I want to sort of get a moment. What I'd like to do first, I think, is talk through the rest of the level ups quickly. So we'll go around in a circle. People can tell us about what they want to share about what they took as a character and what they want to hold on to and surprise people with in combat, so that we get a chance to expose the mechanics of leveling up. I think it's a part of the game that I want to make sure people see. So I'll do the usual round robin, although we did the last one first. Tanya, Paige, what do you want to share about what you did with level 3 for Tanya?
Yeah, so third level barbarians get to pick a path. Tanya is following the path of the ancestral guardian, and that will be revealed down the line of what that means.
Yeah, I think what's really cool with that one, without spoiling too much, and some people will know it or will look it up, but it's an appropriate shift to Tanya stepping into a world of kind of bigger things. I think that she knew she was. So I think that's
it's been made clear throughout that lineage is an important part of it. So she's already been kind of following this path of ancestry to start off with. So it made it an easy shift. Yeah,
you defined the character as someone who's carrying on the family mission.
Mm-hmm.
I believe next will be Nico. What did you take? I actually don't think I had a chance to look at what you took. So I really don't know.
Third level's fun for me because most of the classes gets to pick like their flavor. And Nico, as a third level paladin, picked to become a paladin of glory. Yeah, they're basically like Olympic athletes.
What?
So like I can channel divinity and for a peerless athlete. And for 10 minutes, I have advantage on athletics and acrobatics. I can do double of pushing and dragging and lift. The distance of my long and high jumps increases by 10 feet.
What?
I know!
This is what you gave up, Lamia.
You're like a gamer.
You had the choice!
That is so ancient world. That's really great. And it's so Nico.
Yeah, and also I get a special kind of smite, which may come up at some point.
That's a cool way to put it. I think the next two in a row are the opposite, where all they got was spells. There's this weird mechanic. I sort of understand why, because of how they scale, but some classes get their subclass at first, some at second, and some at third. So the first two people got a whole subclass. The next two people got some spells, if I remember correctly. So Maraja, remind me what we focused on when you were sort of leveling up. What's your sort of take on what her priorities were?
Yeah, my vision is a character who can hold her own and hopefully provide a lot of value to like people around her, or like whatever journey we may be on. Kind of someone who can get a lot of things thrown at her and hopefully be kind of like a multi-tool in some ways, as much as a cleric can be.
Yeah.
So, so for instance, things like find traps or augury, which is like divination, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Create or destroy water.
Which is just super practical, particularly for
prayer of healing, which is like AoE healing. Some attack spells. So just and guidance, I decided to kind of add that cantrip on, but I also do have resurrection, like spare the dying. So if things go horribly bad, I can kind of like help stabilize the situation.
Yeah, I saw your priorities being a lot of like healing and support, and it's weird to me how everybody has gotten really practical because of character reasons. Like I want to make sure I have things that are useful was like one of the biggest themes.
Mm-hmm.
And Dimma, what did you remind us what you took? And you're special, so if you want to reveal, you can now, or you can wait until you use some of those.
No, I like talking about them. Yeah, no. Cool. So Dimma, is just gaining magical power. An ordinary wizard would be like scribbling in their spellbook. Dimma doesn't really do that, but is right getting more in the world to do more things, including this means things that they wanted to do, where it was like, oh, it sure would have been convenient. And then you just had to like sleep on it for a night, like, yeah, here we go. So Dimma just got basically 2 new spells in their spellbook. One is Misty Step, which is you can teleport 30 feet, which really would have been nice.
I love the idea that this like timeless Fey wizard is also like making decisions purely with hindsight. That seems a little funny.
And they also, a spell of their own devising, I mean, Misty Step might be too, but anyway, Ring of Roses, which they can summon a bunch of roses with very sharp thorns to whirl in an area for up to a minute that they concentrate, and it will, cut everyone in there, and they can't, they're so distracted they can't take reactions during it. And also, I technically hadn't picked up, I retroactively included that there were 2 spells I was missing from the last level that never had a chance to happen. So I noted I can do Identify and Illusory Script also.
And the Ring of Roses, for those who didn't catch that, if you haven't heard of that spell, it's because it's using the spellcrafting feature in the Wizard of Legend. So that is a feature that lets you take an existing spell and kind of trade off effects.
It was based on Cloud of Daggers.
And it was going to be Cloud of Roses, but it just had to be a Ring of Roses.
Right.
So I want to say that will be our only plague reference in the course of this show.
Yes.
So that's cool. I think that's because Clove went first. So yeah. So now let's go through what it's like. I think sort of starting on a brand new day is appropriate for this party at this point in their lives. So let's go around and do what it's like for everybody to wake up. I think by definition, Tanya wakes up first because of an effect. So she's up early in the morning. Sort of summarize what that looks like. Summarize anything you would do in the morning, but also maybe what other people would see as they woke up. A good way to start that.
Well, so Tanya will do a lot of like the practical stuff, like similar to like when we landed on the world, she collected things. I mean, she's probably trying to figure out what to do for breakfast and like how do we pick up what we have here so we're not like leaving more stuff here than was here when we got here. How do we like, just kind of like those kind of like survival-y type bits and things like that. And just starting the day, basically.
So that sort of tidying up the camp. Making sure
probably feels a little bit different for her because she's so used to being alone when she does this. And then now she has to think like, okay, we got to feed this many people. And like, if I do this, somebody's probably just going to undo it. So maybe I should wait until everybody's up before I start packing this up. And so she's having to think a little bit longer about what it's like to pack up a camp with multiple people at it.
Does she like that? Like new?
I don't think it bothers her any. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It takes longer, which is a little frustrating, but she's not feeling particularly pressed for time, so that's not the biggest issue for her. I imagine she's probably thinking about I imagine that she had finished up the job that she was doing before she got taken away, but her survival depends on continuing to complete jobs. And at this point in time, this one does not feel profitable. And so she's probably trying to think of like, well, clearly Nico brought money, but like,
maybe I can work for these guys.
But she also doesn't want to just like take money away from this family either, right? Like she feels like she needs to earn whatever it is that she keeps. So, I think she is kind of considering like how do I make that happen? How like where does that transaction take place? Do I need to do some odd job while we're in Colophon to like figure out what to do next?
She's in a pretty practical.
Yeah, she's very a practical thinker
So
for sure.
who thinks their character is likely to wake up next earliest? This is really just anybody who. Yep, I buy either of you two. Maybe you wake up at the same time since you're twins. You guys want to argue the toss, or yeah, it's really up to you guys.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, like Nico's gonna like, stretch once he gets out of the tiny tent, and like prep himself, tie his shoelaces the right way, and all that stuff.
By stretch, do you mean like do a little stretch, or do you mean like do like morning calisthenics and like have a whole routine? Because I could see it going either way.
It's the latter. He's gonna like stretch out, make sure he's limber and stuff, and then like put on his armor and all the other things, and then like check on other people and see what he should do for his morning chores and all that stuff.
Once you get dressed, you probably realize that Tanya is doing a few chores. Lamia, do you wake up right around that same time? I assume, is that what you were signaling?
Lamia wakes up mildly early in the morning, full of regret. Her feet look like old lady fingers, and they've been in the water all night. She didn't realize that she fell asleep on the riverbank, but here we are, and there's like drool and sand, just kind of like.
You like fell asleep with your feet in the water, like legit?
It is not good. She spends her morning by the fire trying to like rub some like circulation back into her very, very shrivelly toes, and just like feeling the crick in her neck as she try and like rubs her shoulder so that she feels less awful. That being said, like bad back, good sleep, feeling like stronger than ever despite being like, oh no. But it's a very weird combination.
Yeah. I imagine you all got this because you guys were really wrecked, so like it's all the sleep you really needed, so in some ways very satisfying, but also
don't sleep in the river. Just don't do it.
Yep.
I imagine like Tanya being totally surprised, thinking everybody's like in the tents or like in visual, and then like hearing the splashing in the water as you like probably freak out awake, right? Like I imagine it's not like just like a roll out of bed, but you're probably like flailing awake, waking up in a river and then hearing all that splashing. Tanya's like, what the?
I'm not quite splashing, but I'm like, ugh. Like someone woken me from the grave, but that someone was the sun.
Because you wouldn't have been. You probably did get woken by the sun. That
like people talking about sanding your eyes, like literal fucking sand, like peeling it out of her eyes.
Yeah. In the cartoon version, there's definitely like a crayfish on your toe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Like
and that
seaweed in your hair.
So that wasn't like a total scream. So maybe that doesn't wake everybody else up. Who thinks they're the last to wake up? Who thinks they're like the not a morning person? Dimma or Maraja?
I think Dimma's the least morning person, but I would cede that to Maraja if you think that's more correct.
I don't have an opinion.
Well, then let's assume that you guys get up a little bit later.
Okay.
What's it look like when you guys get up? What's your character's like perspective or interaction with the world when you first wake up? So, I'll do Maraja first.
Okay. Do dreamers, do they dream?
Yeah, so I think canonically Klashtar don't dream.
Okay.
So I believe you probably at least didn't dream last night. Whether that's something we can decide to change, I think is open. But I think of it as just a purely, once you were asleep, if you really did fall asleep, because I know you were, Miraj's mind must have been spinning. I imagine it being an incredibly restful sleep because it was a physical sleep where your body like decides you're going to sleep. And that's maybe one of the benefits of having a body is that it pushes you in certain directions.
Wait, do I sleep in my world?
No, so you fell asleep physically here. Yeah, so you...
Okay.
Oh, so
no, I mean like...
Oh, yes.
I have any experience like that?
Yeah, I think you have experience sleeping, but this is sort of... So that's sort of sleep because it's a pattern. Like you sleep because people sleep in that world, and because like you know, dreams follow the logic of the real world. But this is probably the first time that you have fallen asleep because your body like needed it and made you. And I imagine that being, I don't know if, I think about when I'm hiking or climbing a mountain, and when you eat peanut butter at the top of a mountain, it is 1,000 times more tasty than at the bottom because you needed it. And so I could imagine it, and this is up to you, but I could imagine it certainly was a very thorough sleep, and I could imagine it being a very satisfying, like a new feeling, like having a body is new, but some of this is neat. Like that was really sleep. Like I did the thing because I needed it, and that's like tangible in a way I hadn't experienced, and that's new, but it's what it's really for. I could see that being very like feeling very healthy, hearty.
Yeah, I'll take that. So I would imagine that Maharaja notices that upon waking up, there's like pain coming from not like the concept of a body or like a presence, like, but it comes from specific locations.
Yeah, like
just
my
like
knees are a little stiff or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, just like sound. Like, I feel maybe if I have muscles, I'm not sure. Like
Probably
in
do
this
by
state,
now,
like
yeah.
okay, yeah. Then I would like have pain coming from these like from the sinew, which is different, but just like sound, it comes from places which feels also different. And I think that Maharaja would try to let it go, which may have been easier in her world, but now Maharaja finds letting things go increasingly difficult, and maybe that's because of like time and like
Yeah. Oh,
that sort of thing.
Sort of stuck in her head because there's so many new things in there. What do you think that?
Yeah.
Let's ask this though. What does that look like? Like, what would the other characters see or hear as she's,
I think like kind of just like silence, and I think like maybe when Maharaja starts to like get stuck in her head and feels like she's trying to draw connections from like experiences to try to like ground herself, maybe she starts like compulsive behaviors, because compulsive behaviors are like things that happen because you can't resist them, and maybe in the dream world, like, and it just feels so urgent, right? Like when you have a compulsion, right? But in the dream world, like quickness, like what does that mean? Like compulsions, what does that mean? Like, and so maybe like the way that struggle manifests could be like repetitive behaviors.
Mm-hmm. So that tapping or maybe like rubbing.
Yeah.
So people might see her kind of like waking
Like,
up but not moving, and kind of like, but there's not getting up and moving, but sort of showing motion, showing.
Maybe almost like a cinematograph, if you guys are familiar with those, where like the image is still, but only one part of the image is moving, and it creates this like very unsettling. Like the world is stopped except for this one compulsive behavior.
She's in a rough place. You think she's in am I right that she's in a distressed place? Or is this
I don't know if it's like
adjustment?
distressed, but like almost like being detached and like letting your body like spin. I don't know how to say it.
Oh, like it's doing its thing.
Yeah, you're like zoomed out and like
disassociating.
Almost dissociating, but with a physical focus. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anyone? Okay, so I think you've all sort of seen each other's morning behaviors. How do people interact with each other?
I should note briefly what Dimma's.
Oh, right.
Dimma's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Honestly, Dimma wakes up and is like still kind of tired, especially because of an unexpected interruption. Looks around, notices at least that Tanya is like, oh yeah, cleaning stuff up. Yeah, I should do that. And then just casts Unseen Servant and like curls back up.
Oh.
You can mentally command Unseen Servant to do things like simple things a human servant can do, like clean things, light fires, serve food, like etc. It only has a strength of 2, so no carrying firewood. But for real, like
it can drag.
Yes, right. It can. Yeah. So it is unfortunately unseen. So anyone who doesn't see it, like you'd see a humanoid figure form out of mist, and then the mist like would vanish the way mist does. But then before long, like a ghost is cleaning stuff. Sorry.
So like crab shells are getting thrown into the ocean or whatever.
Yep.
Just happening.
And Tanya is probably just like pauses and is like, somebody else seeing this? Is anybody else seeing this?
This is
what's
perfect,
happening?
This is interaction. Yeah, that's a real question. That wasn't a gesture.
I'm going to pick up some sand and try and toss it at the figure.
I believe
you can see it's got. I think that it is. tangible
toss
but
it
invisible. So I
into-
think
Oh yeah, yes, you're right. It would hit it. Yep.
yeah. So you see it like hit enough to like and fall down enough to see that there's like a clearly very like smooth, not real humanoid shape that is doing this work. It immediately is obviously magic.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn to Tanya and be like, I'm gonna assume Dimma because there's no alarm going off.
What? Yeah, I cast a spell. Yeah.
Tanya like keeps like a big sigh and is like magic. Like
I'm gonna get up in Tanya's face and be like, woo!
remember, she has claws, so
I'm magic too!
I know who your father is.
Not bring Dad into this!
But at this point, you all see and hear something pretty strange. You let's see. Actually, yeah, you would feel a shadow move overhead,
Oh,
and above you, a good distance. Not like it's like it's gonna skim the palm trees, but there is what appears to be a dragon that is
What?
just cruising, and it's like it's kitted out like roughly like a ship. Right, so there's barrels hanging off of it. There's rigging. There's people working on its back.
They did not have this last time I was here.
Eric, you
and
sound so excited,
and-
but like you're asleep.
that might have woken you up, because at first it's not silent, but it's not like a big screech. It's not like dragon showing off. It's like dragon on its way somewhere close to overhead, and it's definitely. I don't know if you could make a perception check if you wanted to make it out, but you get the impression that the dragon is giving orders to the crew. Like the dragon is making captain noises, like authoritative, like tighten up on the left, kind of, sort of noises. And it's headed from the west to the east, so it's sort of flying out of the sun, which is why you get.
is this an unusual sight for Tanya to see?
You've like, it's not shocking, but you've certainly never seen it. Like
Okay.
you could believe that this is the way that dragons might get around, but it like never occurred to you that they brought people with them. I guess like it's not a regular occurrence. They're pretty rare creatures, and this one is big, and it's headed. Yeah, so it's basically. Yeah, it's headed west towards civilization. I guess is the way it would seem from you guys are.
So Tanya will then like look up and not like in fear, but just kind of
Like in
huh,
home.
like huh. And if she recognizes what direction it's going in, she will note that they are headed in the direction of Colophon, right?
No, it's coming from Colophon. Effectively.
Oh, it's
coming
going the
from
other way.
West to east, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said the other way. Sorry.
It's all right. It's because I confused where the sun would be because I just said it.
Okay.
Night. So it's flying into the sun.
Okay.
And it's making a pretty good pace, so it's gone almost, as before you can really like do anything
In that case,
about
she'll
it.
just kind of be like, "Good thing we're not going that way."
There's no sign of hostility necessarily, but it is a whole dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last interactions between people? I know we ran a little bit late. I wanted to make sure that we got all this in. Any last interactions with folks? Any last conversations or moments? All right. I'd like to give that chance so I don't cut someone off. Sometimes don't hear everything. Sorry about that. All right. So I guess we do the end of show stuff now. Let me bring that up. I just like to point up, and let me do this properly. I'm totally prepared to do. I'm throwing up the post-show card for a second. People can see where they can find us just while I talk, just so you guys on the show. That's it for tonight, obviously. We ran a little bit late because I realized that I was not doing a great job of balancing everybody's time, and I want to make sure that everyone gets their interactions in. I wanted to take a moment for the characters not to be in the heat of battle so they could start to do some of this stuff. Obviously, there's some more action that's possible in the coming episode, depending on which way everybody goes. So please join us next Saturday for a live episode of D&D 101. You may notice I skipped an episode. It was the night before my birthday, and I was going to go out. So apologies to anybody who was waiting. But that is will be happening in a week from now. That's where you can learn the world's greatest role-playing game from the world's okayest DM. That's me. And you'll also get after that, if people are watching, I'll throw on an encore of tonight's episode for anyone who missed it. But I guess if you're watching. For D&D 101, to make that really fun, it helps if I get your questions. So please send your questions for D&D 101 to @4thplacegames on Twitter. That's on the screen for you, so I won't spell the whole thing out this time. And that's with hashtag DND101. And I will emphasize the N because I won't be searching for the tag with an ampersand in it because those don't work. So get your question answered by doing that. What we do now is I gave everyone else a chance to say goodnight. So I will start, as always, with Cage.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm Cage, and I've been Tanya for you tonight. If you want to check out any of the other things that I've been up to, you can check out my website, ragecagerugger.com. And pretty soon, hopefully, I will be published on the DMs Guild, maybe?
What? Wait, that soon? Is this the one you've been working on?
Hopefully by mid-August.
Very
and then
cool.
Another project in the works for end of September. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Tucker is. Oh, Tucker is also possibly muted.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yep.
Hi there. I'm Tucker. I've been playing Nico or Nicodemus this night. I am Tucker Wolf 610 on Twitch and need to work on my social media presence.
And that brings us, I think, to Jamila.
Hey, I'm Jamila, and I played Maraja for you tonight. And shortly, I will, in real life, go to sleep.
I like it. Art imitates fiction. Wait, life imitates art. Eric?
I'm Eric. I've been playing Dimma. I finally got to do something silly with Unseen Servant, and I'm not saying that's my only goal, but it's definitely a goal.
It's on the list. Nice. And as is tradition, due to the order I put people on the screen, the last word goes to Club.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. I don't really do much social media, but tune in next time to watch me put Nicodemus in Tupperware container for all time to keep him safe.
Oh, to keep him safe, I see. I didn't know that was a spell.